All right. Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 6th season of Timeless Gamer, episode 60, where the games and gamers grow older while the gaming experiences will forever remain timeless. Your gaming podcast show brought to you by the beautiful people of Pinoy Retro Gaming. And now we are live in Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And for all of our archive videos of our previous episodes that you still haven't checked out, oh, that's fine. You can still go to the YouTube channel, that's Timeless Gamer PRG, or just going to the Facebook page of Pinoy Retro Gaming. Same goes with Twitch. And if you don't want to, if you don't want to watch us, you just want to listen to us talk, doing something else, that is fine. You can still listen to us in Audible, Amazon Music, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Samsung Podcasts, Podcast Index, Listen Notes, Pandora, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and Deezer by searching in Timeless Gamer. Very tasking to mention all of those, but very, very necessary. And previously on Timeless Gamer, so we were able to discuss the 3DS games, its hardware, its variants, and its software. And for all of you handheld aficionados listening and watching us right now, you can still catch that particular episode. And we also did a redo episode of that of that one as well. So everything will be available on the PRG Facebook page and the Timeless Gamer YouTube channel. So uh, just go to those, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. And for this particular episode, we are discussing Metal Gear, and and this kind of and with this particular franchise, guys, there have been a lot of Metal Gear titles that have been released over time. So, being a 2 hour show that almost always going to overtime, we'll try to only mention a good chunk of it, or at least the games that really mattered. But don't take my word for it. That's why we have all of these panels right here that are going to talk about the Metal Gear games. So representing PRG, we got Sir Rosello. What's up, sir?
Hello, hello.
All
How are
right.
you?
And we got Sir Trix representing our good friend from G3. Sir Trix.
Good evening, everyone. Just here, since it's a Metal Gear panel, I just want to talk about Metal Gear. From the lore itself and the gameplay, I look forward to what we're going to discuss.
All right. And Sir Viraj, of course, from the Sega Mega Masters. What's up, Sir Viraj? Oh, I think I just saw you earlier.
Yeah, you did see me earlier. It was like a back-to-back. It's a double special for me and you, isn't it? But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun talking about probably one of the most prolific game series of all time. So let's bring it.
All right, let us bring it. And so for and the person leading the charge for this evening, the head commander, Sir JDM.
Yes, good evening, guys, and welcome back to Timeless Gamer. So tonight we'll be talking all about Metal Gear and one of the greatest series of all time. So
All times.
right, and kept you waiting, huh?
All right, thank you for that, Sir
Yeah, we
JDM.
kept
And
this one waiting. We've been planning this for a long time.
how long have we been planning for this episode? A long
Since
time.
2021, man.
Yeah.
Since 2021.
And it's
2 years ago.
exactly
2 years.
appropriate because of the upcoming remake of Snake Eater,
Right.
Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater.
Yes.
Oh, and not to mention, from the previous Nintendo Direct, we've seen Metal Gear Master Collection Volume One. Everybody,
Yes.
everybody, everybody who wants or who has played the Metal Gear series would like to have one. And actually, I'm not a fan of the Metal Gear franchise or played all of the games. But when I saw the Nintendo Direct trailer for the Masters Collection, and I'm like, okay, I think I'll get it. Just for the sake of it, just for the sake of having it, I'll buy it. So I went straight to the Konami website, and the pre-order button is still not there. Unfortunately, at the time, so at the time after the Nintendo Direct announcement, so I went there. Still nothing. It's just the web page. That's it. You can't order anything as of yet. As far as I know, as of today, I'm not sure if it's available now. I don't think it is. So
I think
hopefully,
I think Konami released an announcement regarding the pre-orders because I think there was a traffic in their website once it was announced in Nintendo Direct. So I think that's the reason why the pre-order button wasn't there.
because they know it's gonna
Yeah.
crash their system, right?
Well,
Right. Correct. Correct. Right.
if you're gonna get this game, it should really be for a Sony platform, surely, right?
Right.
At least we know now the price of the collection. The full $60 for 7 games.
Not bad.
Yeah, yeah, I guess, yeah.
Not bad.
That's a good deal.
It's a solid steal.
Did
Right, right.
someone saw an original copy of MGS3 Subsistence? The three
I
disc.
I did back then, but I didn't have enough money to buy it.
I saw that last 2006 in Makati. I'm
That's
not sure
yeah.
what's the name of the store, but it's full green glory. The case is very thick, consists of three discs.
Three
One is
discs.
the subsistence. This two was just the persistence, and disc three is the existence.
I think that
Okay.
was I think it had online as well.
That's disc two,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
uh, the MSX, the two MSX games.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's correct.
And I think there is a Snake versus Monkey, or
Oh,
not sure.
Yeah.
that's in the original as well. The
Mm.
one thing they changed in Subsistence is you can finally fully able to control the camera.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
No, no. This
I
two consists with parodies.
Oh, right.
Parodies.
Ape
The,
Escape, right?
No, no. The
the one where
MGS3 cutscenes where
where Snake was
I
trying to
see.
get a handshake from the president. He kept judo throwing him.
and my favorite Sigint, Metal Gear Sigint.
Oh yeah, Metal Gear Snake. Oh God.
The Metal Gear stupid yan.
All right. Oh, also, guys, we are also waiting for someone from the Metal Gear Philippines Facebook group.
Maybe
Once
there's
he's
a
ready, he'll also join us live later on. I think he's just preparing his stuff before he can show up. Before he can join us live. So I'll just give it now to Sir JDM uh, to discuss the Metal Gear series. Let's go, Sir JDM.
All right. So let's go. Let's start with the game itself, the series itself. So, what is Metal Gear series all about? So, what is Metal Gear? How is Metal Gear? Who is Metal Gear? So, let's go. So, Metal Gear Solid is a game series, action stealth game that was first released for the MSX in 1987 by a Japanese producer named Hideo Kojima. So it was first released for the MSX, which was a console that was only released for Japan, and it hasn't been ported to a different platform until around 88 or 89 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So, right, so Metal Gear Solid is an action stealth game. So, it's not your typical run and gun game like Contra or those other games that. What was the other Konami game that was released? It was
Contra.
Rush. Aside from Contra, it was Rush and Attack, right? The
Oh
one
right.
with the knife, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Metal Gear is based on stealth. So unlike run and gun, you have to strategically move from place to place, trying to avoid detection, so you won't be overwhelmed by guards. So you have this for the first game. You have we are introduced to a character with the codename Solid Snake, who was ordered to infiltrate the fortress called Outer Heaven. So Solid Snake is a member of the Foxhound. It's like an operative. It's like a small operative unit under the CIA,
Like an
if I'm not
operative.
mistaken, right?
It's like a small. Uh,
Uh, yeah, I thought someone was. So it's a small a unit from the CIA who are ordered to infiltrate. Um, to summarize, it's like an infiltration unit called the Foxhound. So Metal Gear was produced by Hideo Kojima. So now we're going to talk about Mr. Hideo Kojima, the producer and director of the game. And before we introduce Hideo Kojima, let's introduce someone from our panelists who just came in from Metal Gear Solid Philippines, Mr. Joe Kevin Malyari of Blue Chip Gaming. Blue Chip Joe.
Actually, actually, I'm not naming myself as Blue Chip Joe right now. I thought I'm just a member or a founder.
All right. All right.
Yeah, yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. So, hello, guys. So, before I was Blue Chip Joe, so I'm one of the founders of Metal Gear Solid Philippines.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, thank you so much for inviting me in this panel. And
All right, sure.
it's
And
been a while since I've discussed about Metal Gear. It's been 9 years already. I'm not sure because, well, aside from the release of the teaser of the Metal Gear Solid Delta, it was quite surprising for me knowing that Metal Gear is back again after what happened in Survive, Metal Gear Survive.
and we will be talking about that game later, maybe later in the podcast. And yes, it's been like 9 years is a very long time, and we have been waiting for an actual Metal Gear Solid game for about 7 years now, going 8 years. So let's see what the new Metal Gear Solid game will be offering us. And before we proceed, may I ask, Joe, when was Metal Gear Solid Philippines founded, and who are the members?
Yeah,
Brief.
Metal Gear Solid Philippines was founded way back 2014. It's just a small group, and we just created because of the same interest in Metal Gear. Someone created it, in it just became larger, especially when the Metal Gear Solid, the Phantom Pain, was announced. And then yes, so it, we consider our community is like mother base. We call ourselves comrades, just like in RGCP. So we usually way back we usually do meetups and also do activities. Actually, what we did was in the peak of Metal Gear Solid 5, we have created something like a speed run. So there's a
Oh,
monitors.
oh,
So they're gonna play and let's say just a random mission in MGS5, and
okay.
then it's like a race
Uh,
to finish the missions. It's quite interesting. Yeah,
is it
and then
C2W?
yeah. It's just it's more like a speed run, more like
Uh,
a speed
who
run.
could
Yes,
knock out
and
children faster?
yes, who goes faster? Exactly, exactly. We're just thinking, what if we can make a game aside from doing a MGS quiz like
yeah,
that one.
like
So
a
it's
pop quiz.
quite yes, yes.
It's
And
gonna be
then after
hard.
that, in 2016, that is where we are um, included included as
Um,
one of the toy display. in
Mhm.
Toycon. Actually, next month we're going to display again. Thankfully, thank you again, Toycon, for inviting us. So I hope we can also, guys, go to Toycon next month and see each
Oh
other.
yeah, we're going
All
there.
right,
We're
guys.
going there.
All right. I know these people here are going to be going to the convention. So, guys, if you're a true Metal Gear Solid fan, you definitely would need to go to Toycan. And thank you so much, Sir Joe, for introducing us to the Metal Gear Solid Philippines and for joining us for this podcast. So let's go back to the topic at hand. So we're now talking about the producer and director of the game, Mr. Hideo Kojima. For those who doesn't know him, his first game was, I'm not sure if was it Arctic Adventure. If
Yeah, the one with
you're,
the penguins.
yeah, the one with the penguin. You're, it's like a temple run where you need to, like, if you have played Pepsi Man, you just guide this, you just guide this penguin to his home. Jumping through obstacles, and you have these seals coming from the holes, and other obstacles that you need to go through. So that was his first game, and Mr. Kojima honestly did not know. He admitted that he doesn't know anything about game development. He doesn't know any programming. He just went to his friends to ask and pitch like an idea for this game to be developed, which includes a single character who's trying to avoid detection, and that's when Metal Gear came out. The idea for the gameplay for the Metal Gear came out. So we're now going to the individual games, but first, what, why Metal Gear? So people are asking, what are the innovations that were introduced during those time. We don't have any. We don't know any stealth games and much stealth games from that era. I think one of the earliest stealth action games that was introduced was Wolfenstein 3D. If you have played that
Actually,
for the DOS.
The
for
very
the
first
DOS.
RTS,
The
Yes,
FPS. Sorry.
yeah.
Oh no,
It
not even
has.
FPS.
Uh,
It was actually top down as well. Wolfenstein. The very first
uh,
Wolfenstein was actually a
uh-huh.
stealth game where you
Mhm.
where the basically it basically was proto Metal Gear, where you got out of your cell and
Mhm.
you had to to avoid the guards detection, or they will be on your ass. So either eliminate them or just avoid them completely. This was in 1981, so like
Mhm.
full 6 years before the first Metal Gear came into light, and have before Metal Gear innovated on the whole stealth action genre.
Yeah. And do you guys have anything to add in the regarding the innovations that have been introduced to the stealth action genre in general? Not looking to the earlier games, but for the other games. Yeah.
I
Severat.
mean, I just wanted to make a very important point here. I mean, Metal Gear Solid. When we talk about obviously we had the 8-bit NES games, and then going forward, and then we had Metal Gear Solid that just blew everything apart when it came out on PlayStation, because it certainly was a game of its kind. You know, oh, sorry, game of its time that really did set the benchmark of how not only how storytelling should be done in video games with a cinematic look to it, but also how the stealth aspect should be incorporated in video games. And there were other games, I don't want to call them imitators, but they were fundamentally. You had Siphon Filter, that was another game that was a stealth game for the PlayStation, with
Yeah,
Sony's own
Siphon
in-house.
Filter.
I think you've heard called Siphon Filter. And later on PlayStation 2, there was a Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. So, all I'm saying is that there were other games that were sort of, looked at Metal Gear and thought, well, actually, there's a niche in the market for these adult grown-up games. We could capitalize on it and add our own stealth elements within our own games that perhaps Metal Gear Solid hasn't done before, or imitate some of the things. But what I love about the Metal Gear Solid series is every generation, you talk about the 8-bit games, there's always been something new that they added on.
Yep.
For example, with obviously with Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation, you can look at like the whole. Okay, you can see in the video here he's hiding from that guard, and okay, well you could get behind him, strangle him, and take him out. You don't want to shoot them because if you shoot them, they'll hear you and they'll come after you, right? That was like basically the gameplay of the first game. And then when you get to Snake Eater on the third game, the innovation was the whole camo thing, and you had the camouflage thing. That and what I really loved about that in terms of innovation, so not just the stealth aspect, but with the first two Metal Gear Solid games, there was like a health bar, like little things, like a health bar when you get damaged. But in the third game, there were parts of your body that would take damage, if you remember, and you had to sort of heal those parts. So that was really interesting, how the gameplay had evolved to some more realistic level. It really pushed it to realism. You're really immersed in the game. So I would say that for the 3D Metal Gear Solid series, should we say, the first three, but with regret, I haven't played the fourth one. The fourth one was very cinematic and more of a movie for me. But the first three, you could see that the game become much more immersive in how you play as Snake. You could really feel, incorporated in the world that he's in. And the third one, really, they took it to another level where, the part of your body's hurt and you've got to look at that aspect. That's where you took the damage. And that's realistic, isn't it? That's more akin to real life. So that I really like. So I think there has been some very interesting developments in the game from what I have played from 1 to 3. But yeah, back to you.
All right. So thank you so much, Sir Baraj. And do you have anything to add? We heard from Sir Trick. So let's go to Joe. What? Uh,
Yeah. What MGS is just unique when it comes to stealth. Like you said, Sir JDM keeps on innovating. What I like about MGS because is that um, you really have to be creative or
mm,
can just think of many ways on how to infiltrate that
yes.
area, not just sneaking, not just crouching. um yeah, you can go fatal,
You,
non-fatal, you can
you can go
kidnap
ramp.
them.
You can even go Rambo, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So
Ooh.
even the objects lying around, just a box or the drums.
Or the
Yes.
cameras.
You,
You really have to be aware of the surroundings, especially when I played um uh MGS3, like what Viraj have said, that when I first played it on the PS2 and then again played it on the 3DS, is
mhm.
somewhat
Maybe it's
innovated again,
weird.
especially
Yeah.
with the camera and how
Yeah.
you say things. There are other ways on how to do it,
You
right?
can make your
And
own
then
camo
on
with the camera.
MGS4, Old Snake used the Octocamo, used the drums in order for you to hide and then roll the drum,
Then you
something like that.
vomit after.
Yes, yes.
Oh God.
And so it's the immersion for Sergio. And how about risk play, Suselo? What do you like about the innovations from the Metal Gear Solid? Uh,
Mm, I went to the much deeper reference. Like I watched a lot of documentary about Hideo
Mm.
Kojima, and he always wanted to share his philosophy of the games that he made. Like
Not gonna make
uh,
Outer Heaven, are you?
yes, the,
kinda.
I
the,
thought I thought you were gonna say Hideo Kojima's finding ways on how to get out of Metal Gear.
Stop predicting the future, Kojima.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah. There's a
especially with
lot
the
of that
AI,
one.
especially with the
Yes, there's a
AI.
lot of that. He always explained how we like to feel, or how we like to be empathetic to the characters, to the story. I'm more on a lore base, so um roast me all you want, but I always play Metal Gear Solid with cheats. I'm just there with the lore.
with cheats, like the
Yeah.
infinite ammo
That's okay. That's
bandana.
okay.
Stealth.
That was banana.
Stealth. I'm more
Yeah.
on stealth.
Yes.
I'm okay with infinite ammo as long as it has tranquilizer. Of course, I wanted to kill them at least with
Full stuff.
tranquilizers. Yeah, I always want to freeze them behind their backs.
But you had to
Yeah.
unlock those
It's like
cheats
the
first.
ghost.
Yeah,
You had to go through them first.
especially the sorrow. Yeah,
Oh, the
yeah,
sorrow. That was a
yeah.
weird fight.
It's actually
If I
give you
may,
the
if I may
consequences of your
interject,
actions. Yeah, that really hit me.
Yeah. Sir,
When you kill a lot of people and then when you fight the sorrow, you can hit him, but instead you'll get haunted by all of the people that you killed.
it's
if
like
I
a
may
punch.
interject, Rosello is right. If I'm going to play the Metal Gear, at least Metal Gear Solid, I'm gonna play it with cheats. Always invisible.
You're gonna
That's
have to
it.
unlock them first, though.
Always invisible so I
Game
can just
Shark.
get
We
faster in the
have Game
game.
Shark.
You gotta unlock them
I just do
first.
it like that. I could care less with the infinite ammo. I could care less about infinite health. Always stay invisible.
Oh, you just
That-
wanna.
What's
I'm
the
here.
point of the game?
I'm only
What
here
is
for the
point?
narrative.
What's the
With,
point?
with three, no. With three, I can understand because there you can do so much chaos in three, like shooting a beehive, and not being interrupted by that, and seeing them just run away from the bridge can be fun. Then an alligator just comes up to you and fights you
Yeah.
again.
I mean, okay, I get what you're saying, but then for me, the point in the game is for you to be truly immersed in this
Yeah.
character and to enjoy the game. Is it like really your life is on the line here, and that the danger is there. And you have the only way you're going to play good is if you're on edge. And okay, if you die, you die. Okay. Snake, snake, dun 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 dun, and you have to start again. So,
Guys,
but you learn from that mistake and you
Yeah.
keep going,
Right.
and that's how you can really enjoy the game. If you're not gonna
This guy
die,
gets it.
Yeah.
Searching right now. Okay, I've got just a troll, Server Raj.
I'm not
Invisible
fucking
code Metal Gear
Yeah. He never played
Solid.
Metal Gear.
Or you can just download saves. Download saves with
Remember-
100% progress.
I mean, these are things you might want to do once you've beaten the game. Okay,
Yeah,
you might want
yeah,
to do fun, but then you take away the challenge. What's the point? If
You
you're
remember?
Okay, I saw it.
He just got with the elevator.
I understand what you mean, but we all have our own paths on playing the game. I'm here for the lore. I'm here for the narrative. If I wanted to play it, then that's fine. I also
Yeah.
played Peace Walker without cheats, man.
Okay,
speaking
fine,
of
fine,
lore,
fine. Okay,
sorry,
all
speaking
all
of
right.
lore, sorry to interrupt. but,
I'm not going to use the
yeah.
invisible code. I
Okay.
will just use staying alive during the electrocution stage.
No.
I don't have to push the buttons. Okay, how about that?
So you can
Okay.
save
What, you
You
can't
can
smash
save
hard?
Meryl
You
with
can't
that.
smash? You don't have the finger to stand no more?
I have no further comments. I've said what Patrick's saying. That's it. I don't want to go around in circles with you because I know I
Leave it to
can't.
you guys.
So, as what Joe said, you have different ways to play the game. You can do speed runs. You can do anything you want. It's the immersion that is one of the innovations of the Metal Gear Solid game. So, for Rosello, he wants it to be the ghost run. So he doesn't want to be seen. He just want to run through the game so he could refresh himself with the lore of the game, right? So we have all our
Get
different
basic
ways
boss,
of
right?
finishing the game.
One more thing I
Yeah.
want to add. The last time I streamed Metal Gear Solid 1 and Metal Gear Solid 2 in a narrative run, in a ghost run with all stealth, I finished it in one go for 8 to 9 hours in one stream.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I think I actually saw that stream of yours back in 2021, if I
Okay,
remember
okay,
correctly.
wait. So,
With
so,
with 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 comedic with comedic codec conversations.
so, so, since you did the stealth speed run, right? Like with narrative things, what version of Meryl did you get when you met her?
Mm,
There's two.
for the
There's two.
gameplay, it's Twin Snakes.
No. I mean,
Mm,
what version of her model did you get?
Of her model, which one?
Remember the time when you have to figure out which guard is Meryl?
oh,
That bit,
Oh,
that bit. Which model of Meryl did
Ah,
you get?
I don't remember. As long as I can recognize her walk.
Because there is two
And
models for Meryl.
yeah, and also there is a cartoon parody of it, Metal Gear Awesome, and
Oh yeah,
the common
by Ego Raptor. Yeah.
yeah, he's yeah. I just wanted to look at women's asses.
Yes. What he does it in the video game, he copies it's a very
yeah.
all right.
Speaking of lore, by the way, speaking of lore, I don't know if it's just me, but whenever I play Metal Gear, actually any other, every other Metal Gear like MGS3, I always find new discoveries. Maybe it's just me,
Mhm.
or maybe because it's
Yeah,
too political way back when I first
yeah.
played that game, and then that's where I realized, oh, so it's really the Patriots who are running this
Right,
entire
right.
game, or
Yeah,
just like
right.
that.
It like it
It's the
puts an
second
idea to your
playthrough.
mind.
It's always
And
the
about the nuclear warheads,
Yeah,
something like
it's always the future playthrough that gets you thinking.
right. Because when you were a kid, you didn't care about the nuclear war. You didn't care about the philosophies, the characters. You just want to shoot people down and like press X to skip the cutscenes.
Oh, I didn't
yeah.
skip,
Yeah.
but the scene with Frank. Yeah.
Let me share you this
Oh,
my very first experience with Metal
This
Gear
is
Solid
core.
1.
The solid one. Okay,
Yeah,
so Meryl's
Go.
ass
that
was
is
your
one
first
solid
experience.
picture.
All
that's
right.
yeah.
Meryl's
Uh,
cake. Okay.
very smooth rendering. I mean,
All
very
right.
smooth.
So I think we're diverting to a topic that we're going to discuss in the later part of the episode. So let's go back to the outline. So we're going to talk about the timeline of the Metal Gear series itself.
Ooh,
So
timeline.
Oh, man, it's been a
this is
while.
like the
I'm gonna try my best to remember all of
Speaking
the
of
things about Metal Gear.
timeline, I remember I read something in Game Facts. And
um,
and that creator was the same age as us. And I
when
read
he
that
thought about.
last 2006 2007. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Mm.
So we were as young as Hideo Kojima when he started thinking of the plot for the game. Is that it? All right. So
You
the
don't have to
timeline.
put how old we are. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. So let's make the ages anonymous. All right. So the timeline. So it the in-game timeline it expanded from 1995 up until 2014 for Metal Gear Solid 4. But when Metal Gear Rising was released, it was expanded until 2017. If
18, I
I'm not
think.
mistaken, 18. Yeah. It was like Metal Gear Solid 4 was 2014. The setting was in 2014. And then Metal Gear Rising was in 2017, 2018 during that time.
Around that.
So actually, it was I was mistaken. Sorry, it was 1964 because it started with Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, right? I don't know why I placed why I typed in 1995 because the
You were thinking,
1995 was that yeah I was
you're
thinking of a
thinking Metal
different
Gear
game.
Solid
Yeah,
1.
yeah. It
Yeah,
no it
the
Metal
OG.
Gear the MSX and the NES version. So
Oh,
it
right,
was
right.
actually 1964 up until 2017. So everything. So we started
But that's gonna
from the
be
code.
hard.
Yeah, it
Really? No
started.
spoilers? It's been years, man.
Yeah. Uh,
I guess even I haven't
1964.
played.
So it started in in the middle of the
Cold
Cold
War.
War up until the age of information, the nano machines and all of that sort.
It's hard.
So
Fun.
yeah.
It's so fun.
So the thing with Metal Gear is back then in 1964 the technology was lacking. So they only had they were limited of the um, technology that were available during the Cold War. So they were talking through like what radio communication. They only have their like radio. They don't have stealth. They don't have the internet, although the internet was developed by the DoD, Department of Defense, during that time in real life. They were using that for military purposes, so it wasn't readily available commercially for consumers. So they rely on radio. It's like the radio era during that time. So fast forward to 2017, it was the age of internet, the computing era. You have your nano machines, and
Nano
it's
machines.
like everything is easy. Nano machines, son. And what are your thoughts? Let's hear from Sergio about the regarding the timeline.
Regarding the timeline, so I'm going to discuss about MGS3 up to MGRR. That's a long
That's a
discussion.
long discussion right there.
That's a
Okay,
long,
here,
long,
here.
long, long.
I think we're going to go through the timeline as we go through the main game. So now
Make it short as
let's
possible, like in a
Yeah.
right,
nutshell.
sure, sure, right, right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to debunk the misconception of the number one misconception of
Yeah,
Metal
about
Gear.
Big Boss and
Yes,
Solid Snake.
who is who? Which is which? Who is
If
Big
it,
Boss? Who is Solid Snake?
I just want to add on the whole timeline thing. I just
Ah,
found it funny when you said on the timeline of MGS3 the technology was lacking, and then you have the Shago Hod, a fucking tank that
Shago.
starts jumping around like a goddamn gorilla. You know, what kind of lacking tech are we having in 1964 where that's
It was rockets.
yeah,
That
Well,
part
was
was
rocket.
awesome.
the
But
whole point
yeah,
of
it was
it's
Metal Gear
jumping.
yeah, it was
I
the
mean, the
space
whole
age
Rockets.
back then.
Because it was space age, yes. It was rocket.
Yes,
And
sir, Berat.
and the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah.
yeah.
You were saying, sir, Berat.
Yeah, it's an alternative timeline, isn't it? I mean, it starts. Well, Metal Gear Solid is what if the Cold War was to continue? That's the
Right?
story.
No.
In a nutshell, what if it was to continue? And it's. I mean, it does. I mean, gameplay aside, if you look at the story, there's a lot of depth to it, really, about what could happen. And it's a horrible thing I'm about to say, but the thing with war, historically speaking, is it breeds innovation. It breeds technology. It's one of those things. If it wasn't for World War II, I'm sorry to say it, there would be no atom bomb. There was an incentive for the Americans to develop that technology to
That's
quicken the war. And with the Cold War, you saw there was a nuclear arms race, there was a space race. If it had continued and went on, there may well have been a tech race. And that's what Metal Gear Solid is about. It's Metal Gear is we know it's a vehicle that can use nuclear weapons. That's what it is fundamentally. It's like a mech thing that does. That's what Metal Gear is, and it is about that. It is actually a frightening story if you really look at it, and it is an alternative timeline. And this whole thing is what if things were different? What if we lived in a world with espionage and all sorts of things? But yeah, secrets and spying and all sorts of things. So it's got a load of elements and that go on and
super
on.
soldier.
I agree
Super
with you,
soldiers.
Biraj. Yeah, it's not just a bipedal machine. It's not
Yeah.
just that Metal Gear. There's just so many concepts that we can tackle on, like political science, right?
Super
And
soldiers.
especially when introducing those characters. I mean, if you're going to end the game, you'll have a reflection like, who's really the bad guy? Who's really the good guy? Is there really a good guy? Is there really a bad guy? It's up
Oh,
to you on how you're going to interpret it. Like just what the boss have wished. But yeah, it's kind of spoilerish. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
been ages already. But there's so many interpretations of the boss, and yeah,
Yes.
it's not just a bipedal machine.
And
well,
that's
It
yes,
has
Peace
that's
tracks.
is
it.
the good guy, isn't it? Peace is the good guy. Right? That's what Metal Gear. It's the thematics, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
not like you haven't got a definitive arch villain in there. Okay, your first game you've got Liquid Snake, and there's that drama around that
Right.
or whatever. But it's Peace is actually the good guy, and you're trying to save the world, right? You know, so you got that whole James Bond element to it.
They're gonna be fine.
So it's
Tapos magugulat na lang
that,
ako ilalagay sa
that's pretty much the game in a nutshell, right? You've got to save save the world to some extent, or save us from disaster, and that's the side of justice that you're on. I'd like to
Exactly.
think.
It's like,
Uh,
are you really saving the world? Something like that.
Who are you an
all
agent
right.
for? Maybe you're on
Yeah.
the. So
Maybe you're just a tool of the
you're just a
government.
tool.
Mhm.
There's lots of twists there, but without giving away the plot, completely.
Yeah.
There are lots of twists, and that's where the game surprises you in terms of the story. And it's a very adult story as well in how the storytelling is made. If you don't press X and skip the cutscenes, then there is a lot of cinematics. As a kid, yes, you want to skip into the game, and as the game continues, there's more cinematics as well, and that's because you are playing a thematic game. So, yeah, that's one of the
Uh,
things. With
all right. So, by the way, we are being joined by two other panelists via codec, and let's introduce them individually. We have Sir Dan, the trouser snake. What's up,
Yes,
guys?
yeah.
Pants snake.
That's a different snake. Hello, sir.
Yes,
Sir Dan. Thank you so much for joining us.
so good to be my
And we also have Shin, who's also joining us from the PRG family.
Hello, how's everybody doing tonight? I am Shin, Ocelot's biggest fanboy, because, lots of reasons. But, anyways, let's continue on with the discussion here. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good
Good
evening,
evening.
Sergeant. And it's good to have you here on our podcast. And all right, let's go back to to debunking the common misconception of who's Big Boss and who's Solid Snake. So, guys, if anyone could volunteer, who could differentiate Big Boss from Solid Snake?
Okay.
Well,
Big Boss
I mean,
is a real human
It's already
being.
spoilers. That already
Yeah,
contains
just
spoilers.
yeah. Actually, you know what? It's a good thing that Rosella mentioned this. But for those who are just listening in and are interested in finishing the whole game, I insist that maybe you would like to skip this part right here, especially you, Jermaine Dacer, who seems to be
Just
like,
this part.
but yeah, but then again, he's already about to play Metal Gear Solid 4. So clearly, I think you're one of the only few here who probably would have an idea who Big Boss and Solid Snake would be. Um, I would love to actually jump in to do a bit of a simple explanation, but Big Boss is basically the human being that was cloned, which resulted into Solid Snake
Hmm.
and Liquid Snake.
and Liquid Snake and
And
Solidus
Solidus.
Snake.
And the gas one.
Solid Snake down there.
And, should we even discuss? Hey guys, should we even discuss the rest of the other clones that never made it? Shout out to all the other rest of the clones who have
R.I.P..
actually, RIP to you guys. Thanks for providing Eli and David a little bit of nutrients in order for them to survive.
Thank you for the
I-
recessive
I
and
think
the
those are Sunny's chickens because
Oh.
they were labeled.
Oh, fuck.
They were
The
labeled.
chicken,
Sunny's
look,
chicken.
the fortune telling chicken is really just based out of the name. But as far as like if we're talking about like the Les Enfants Terribles project, I highly doubt those chicken have anything to do with it.
Yeah. Well,
It's like their cages has names on it, where
Yeah.
where one chicken is on the solid.
yeah.
Can you imagine if it was Dave who fucking named him, Like,
Yeah.
what should we name him, Uncle?
Oh,
Yeah, let's
solid,
name him
solidus.
Solidus.
And
Let's
then,
name him after. Okay,
and then when you
okay.
cook
Let's see.
eggs, okay, just 2 eggs
Yeah,
today.
let's
Solidus
name
must
him after a
taken a
very good
day off.
soldier. Let's name him after a terrorist impersonating us as a super soldier, and then let's name him after a former president that happens to be also a clone. Let's do that.
Those
All
were my
right.
brothers.
And
All right. So
Oh yeah, that's your
yes,
whole
yeah,
misconception of Big Boss and Solid Snake.
yeah.
Solid Snake and
There are
Big
two.
Boss, two different people.
Yes, that's it. So different people. So now we're going to go on with the meat of the podcast. So we're now going to talk about the main games in the series. So as much as possible, we just talk about the premise of the game, the gameplay, and the experience that we had playing this game. So let's start with the first game in the series, which is Metal Gear for the MSX or NES. Um, the first game it was Metal Gear. So you have this stealth action game. You have the top view animation. So you have Solid Snake. All right, that's the theme. Thank you so much. So the premise of the game is you were asked to infiltrate the fortress called Outer Heaven. So, tasked to do the job is this guy called Solid Snake, that green guy. Um, as you can see, as you can see, Solid Snake is operative of Foxhound. So, as we established earlier in the show, Foxhound is unit commissioned by the CIA to do infiltration stuff. So, one of the new recruits or the newbie in Foxhound was Solid Snake, who was under the tutelage of Big Boss, who's the commander of the Foxhound unit, and he's also the support that one of the supports that Solid Snake had in this operation. So he feeds him information on how to um, infiltrate the fortress, and then as you can see, Solid Snake here is still learning things. He's very green, as you can see in the sprite. It's so
It's
green.
so great.
Really, really, Kuya, you really gonna go there?
So this was the first one of the first top-down stealth action game that we had back then, and this was first released for the MSX only in Japan because MSX was only released in Japan. Then the West asked, why don't we have this game ported to the US and to the other parts of the world? So they released it for the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Famicom 2 years after the original. And so yeah, this is the first game. As you can see, the limitations that we have. So this is different from the common Konami games that we have seen, like Russian Attack and Contra, where you do run and gun, right? So, guys, do you have any experiences with this game? Have you played it? What do you think about the game?
I hate the dogs.
I hate the dogs.
I hate the dogs. Me
Was
too.
was it because you played the NES version first? Because
Yes, and also come on, take in consideration, Kuya. I was still a child. All I know is to press buttons and make sure that I hit something.
Really?
Stealth was never really been a part of my equation when I was playing this when I was a kid. Up until later on in life, that I was like, oh, I just have to avoid them, and then the dogs became a problem to me.
right.
It's,
And I think Christian was talking about the NES version of the game because there was a difference between the original MSX game and the NES the NES port. Because in the NES port, you start by parachuting in the jungle, and that's where you meet. After uh, a few screens, that's where you meet the dogs, which is
the
not
second screen.
in the that wasn't in the MSX version because at the beginning of the MSX original, you start the game by swimming through like a ditch or something inside outer heaven, so you did not go through the jungle, but you will still encounter the dogs in a different part of the game,
Exactly.
Hmm.
right? So guys, do you have any experience with the first game, Metal Gear, for the MSX or the NES? Have you played it, and what were your experiences?
I'll go. I'll go.
Sir, Brad.
Okay, so I played it on via emulation, shall we say, because
Hmm.
I'm a bad man. But anyway, I played this game because I'm modding my NES Classic Mini, and I played it on that. I thought let's give this a go because it wasn't included on the 30 Classic, so it can't be that great, right? Wrong. It's actually a very good game for its time, But you just with this game, I see some comments in the comment section. I think Sir Pow actually commented saying, I died straight away on Metal Gear. So I'm just too powerful. I need to kill people. With Metal Gear Solid, or Metal Gear, you have to be patient. You have to be stealthy, and then you have to be tactical on how you take the bad guys out. And it is a very good game for. I didn't play it all the way to the end. I just got through the first level, and that was it, really. I am curious though, because you mentioned this is a port of an MSX game. Which is the better version, the MSX game or the NES game? That's a question I've
Yeah.
asked for someone who's played both of them. What's the better game? Or are they two different games and they're both great in their own respects?
The only
Anyone know?
thing different, the only thing different is you don't even actually get to fight Metal Gear in the NES version.
Why?
I don't know. They just got it. In MSX, you get to fight Metal Gear, but for some reason, in the NES version, which I discovered like years later due to abuse means, I played it, and you don't even get to fight Metal Gear. It's just backdrop. You destroy Metal Gear, but you don't get to fight it.
That's
Why?
typical. That's
Uh,
typical Nintendo. That's typical Nintendo,
Oh
isn't
man,
it? It is, though, isn't it? Let's
that
all
let,
right.
as a Sega boy. That's typical Nintendo. Let's cut out the main thing in case people get offended or upset. I think.
That's
But
Maybe might as
Especially
well,
in the
right?
Game Boy Color release of Metal Gear Solid. That's it's just the same experience as the NES. But
not
I think my
necessarily.
comparison with the MSX and NES, I would say MSX has the good one because of colors.
MSX, yeah.
No, it
MSX
It
has
looks
was
way
more
better.
colors
Yeah, it
than
looks
NES.
way
on
better.
the disc. It was on disc. It was a piece. It's a microbit. It had more disc. There's a lot more data you can put on disc media than you could on ROM media. So I know I'm making excuses for Nintendo. I'm playing devil's advocate or Konami, who actually manufactured. Well, I don't know who Nintendo published it or whatever. But if you have to pay for more ROM memory, manufacturing cost of that memory was more expensive during the 1980s than it was on the MSX computer. So I can understand why the MSX version had the more colors. It might have had better sound. The question I want to ask as well with the MSX version, I know it's only ever released in Japan, but for an English language speaker, can we play that game? Was it in Japanese or anything? Was it?
I think if I'm not mistaken, the only difference between the MSX game, the original game, and the port was the beginning of the mission because for the NES, so you powered up down the jungle before you get inside the outer heaven, and in the MSX, you just swim inside to get through. So you're inside the fortress when you begin. So as far as I know, that's the only difference because I played the MSX version that was included in the Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence, which is the revised version of Snake Eater, and it
Yes.
included the MSX game.
I don't know. Can you confirm this for me? In the MSX version, right? Like in the NES version of Metal Gear, whenever you go get out of the menu, for some reason the enemies respawn. Does that happen
Yes,
in
yes.
MSX?
I think it happens for
Yes.
both the games
It's
Yes.
like
Oh,
it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
such a
Huh?
weird.
because
Like,
there was a truck a part there when you get inside the truck to get items. Then when you before you got inside the truck, you eliminated the guard. Then
yeah,
when you get out, it's back, and the bad thing is that the dogs are also
they're
there.
also back. Yeah, and
right.
they'll just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
start
Uh,
speeding towards you.
I've only played the NES version briefly. I've not gone all the way through it. I've played it like 5 or 6 times, and I think it's all right for what it is. I think it's a very ambitious game. So I've got a lot of respect for what they're trying to do, but the implementation of it isn't that good in my opinion. And that's a perfect example. If you're doing a stealth game, having respawning enemies, it's just getting monotonous in it, having to deal with them every time.
Mhm.
Mm, maybe they were just lazy or they were limited by the technology of the time. I
Yeah,
think that was
yeah,
Right, right.
yeah. So
overly ambitious, perhaps, but at least they tried something new
yeah,
and it started
Yeah,
the
at least
series and
that,
it became
Right.
something quite prolific. But yeah, I was actually looking at I mean, for those of us who want to know between the MSX2 version and this version, well, you can just buy the new Metal Gear Solid Volume 1
Yeah.
HD collection that's coming out because they're both included
Yeah.
in that. I was just
yes,
looking
it's
at
gonna be
separate.
Yep.
included.
Yep. Yep. Correct.
And they
Correct.
even include the like non-canon sequel to the original
Snake's
Metal Gear,
Revenge.
which is
Snake's
Snake's Revenge,
Revenge.
which is the first game that I've.
That's the game
That's
that I
the
haven't played. Yeah.
Well, Hideo
Snakes
Kojima
Revenge.
wasn't responsible for Snake's Revenge, but
Yeah.
it's still
It
a very
doesn't
good
count.
game.
It
All
doesn't
right.
count. Snake Revenge doesn't
Well,
Uh,
count.
it does
It's not
count. That's
canon.
the thing. It's canon.
But it,
Konami had rights to Metal Gear Solid, not Kojima. He might be the artist. It's not
No, it's not
Uh,
canon.
I
Like
mean,
red.
now we're having debates whether
I
it's
think that's
canon
the
or not.
only Metal Gear Solid that was released to the West.
it's like
Snake's
saying
Revenge.
Yeah.
it doesn't count because Yuji Naka
Yeah,
was
But
it's kind of like saying that like Metal Gear Acid is actually also VR missions only with cards. No, no, it doesn't count.
all right. To each their own.
So,
But it's,
Indeed,
how
indeed,
about
indeed.
Sir Trix or Sir Joe? Have you played Metal Gear? The
Only
game.
a
Actually, I'm one of
origin.
those people who just played Metal Gear on the PS3.
Uh,
That's where I was able to play. Although I wasn't able to finish it, I forgot why, but I just watched the walkthrough on YouTube, and that
The
time just hoping that
dialogues.
I'm just hoping that it will have a remake. But still, here we are, still hoping that there's gonna be a remake, but
yeah,
MGS3 Delta, I guess, is a start. But
yeah. Even
Yeah,
not that it doesn't have the directed by Hideo Kojima. I'm still not
uh,
convinced right now.
I agree.
even
I
if
agree.
they just update the original game with fewer graphics and like voices, but I
Right.
don't think they will be
We'll
able
see.
to
We'll
do
see.
voices, right?
I think the
Especially
reason
in
why.
the engine. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Go on.
think the reason why they have a bit of a hesitation to even get to the original Metal Gear as a remake is not just because of the fact that like, hey, it's the first game out of all of this, but rather because you have like these two generations. Basically, there's a dilemma in regards to the gameplay, and like fans that wanted to basically have whatever happened in MGS5 completely connect itself into
Mm.
the first Metal Gear Solid. Because let's face it, like a lot of the fans here, we all wanted to have like that complete circle, not like, oh, this
Yeah,
phantom pain of a circle that doesn't really exist and we just have to live through whatever the plot is on MGS5. but rather we all wanted to make sure that we somehow, some way, see how Zanzibar land gets formed, or like at least gets to see how basically we got like Miller jumping in from Diamond Dogs into becoming like a very bitter but very well mannered mentor of Solid
Yeah.
Snake. You know, we don't have
Actually,
that.
Master.
what we are experiencing right now is phantom pain. It's like
No,
it's
you
there, but
no,
it's still
yeah, yeah, Kuya Joe,
incomplete.
you exactly hit it right. That's why I was like, it's not that like
Hmm.
it pisses me off that Kojima pretty much just says that like MGS5 is the Phantom Pain, and I was like, okay, I get that everybody has a Phantom Pain in this game, but would you really want the gamers themselves to have that? But my God, it is a Phantom Pain because you
Hmm.
know the it's one thing for them to discontinue the game. It's one thing to leak the last mission that we would never ever play. Now that is the real Phantom Pain on this.
You
It
mean like
pisses me off.
Half-Life 3?
No, no,
No.
quiz tricks. At least with Half Life 3, you have the right to dream. All right. With Metal Gear Solid, there isn't no the dream is over. You can
Yeah,
never
but
have that moment ever at all.
they released the supposed script for Half-Life 3.
Yeah,
Like
but it's
it's
incomplete, sadly.
yeah.
It's incomplete, yes, but you never have like this sensation or like this possibility that Kojima will never be in Konami anymore, right? So
Yeah.
it's over. In other words, like even whoever would touch the mantle of Metal Gear Solid now, no matter how much we try to think that it would be better or that like they would follow up with whatever legacy Kojima has, it's not gonna be the same. We're basically gonna be left with something that has Metal Gear labeled on it, but it's not the same mindfuck that we all grew up with.
Yeah.
You know, the connection is there, but it doesn't exist. Something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Yeah. It's the
But then
Phantom
again,
Pain.
it's a
I
it was
really
totally attached to it,
hope
but it's made out
that
of plastic.
that who will revise Metal Gear Solid, it's the same guy who did Metal Gear Rising.
Please
Phantom
I
God
Pain?
like
no. Please God
the
no. Please God no.
well, I
Wait,
like
wait, no.
God no.
MGR.
Look, listen,
Hideo
Rosello,
Kojima
look, this
was
is like,
in.
no. Listen, if you're
Yes, he
gonna have
was.
somebody who would actually remake or would even follow the mantle, look, you guys are basically saying like the guy who would do something else that's like Devil May Cry or something would like hand over. No,
You mean like Final
there's no
Fantasy
freaking way. I'm
16?
sorry, because like MGR is an offshoot. It's an offshoot. It's basically
Canon.
a not. It's still canon. Don't get me wrong. It's still canon, but it's not like it's a spin-off. It's basically Raiden's story. Everything else that happened beyond that, it's like it's not even Metal Gear Solid anymore. It's not even about the Snake anymore. It's not even about the Patriots anymore. It's basically their whole story is done. Now, if that gentleman who basically created Metal Gear Rising is gonna touch Metal Gear Solid, I highly doubt that they could even do something as good because honestly, it's
Yeah,
like
but
it's apples and oranges. You're basically asking a guy who basically would make hack and slash game to touch a stealth game.
yeah, but Kojima was involved in Rising.
Yes.
More like an advisor though.
I
Yeah,
buy.
that's it for
And like an
for the
advisor, but
story.
like
Executive
yeah,
producer,
but to have somebody like he's gonna would you guys those who actually plays Assassin's Creed, would you guys want the guy who created Devil May Cry to take over?
Well, I
no,
mean that's what happened with Odyssey. And
Yeah,
Origins.
and did you guys like what happened?
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Exactly my point. I rest my case.
All right.
well,
So,
there
I
was
sorry.
also Devil May Cry. Remember Dino? Itsuno came in there and helped them out. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still different, but the
Yeah,
essence of
it's
Devil May Cry was still there.
yeah, it's still going to be different nonetheless. That's why I'm saying that like even though we're gonna have this kind of a phantom pain of not having Kojima to touch Delta anymore, it is what it is. Anybody else who would touch it, it's basically like attaching a limb in your body that is not even yours. It's made out of plastic.
yeah.
Plus, they have big shoes to fill.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
At the very least, they're not gonna spend money on celebrities anymore.
Okay, here's the thing.
all right.
If Metal Gear Solid Delta sucks, we riot.
Hopefully
Oh,
not. Hopefully not.
Goodness.
Hopefully
Well,
not. All right.
this has happened time and time again in history where really famous producers made something really good. call it films or video game, and then the sequels
Yes.
are sort of adopted by someone else, and you have to set your expectations a bit low. It's just one of
Yeah,
those sad
exactly.
things. But then it could be a good sequel. For example, Ridley Scott made Alien, but then Aliens by James Cameron was actually something
Oh
actually
yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's a whole different. Yeah, it's a whole
I'm
different
not talking
thing,
about
though. You
films,
know.
but
Like
with video games, I mean, okay, you got Miyamoto who created the Mario games, and he's still very much behind it, but it's someone else creating the
Mhm.
Mario games. Yuji
Yes.
Naka's not making the Sonic games anymore, but what's his name? Yuji Ozima, I think that's his name. He programmed Sonic 3, and he's taken the mantle with the new Sonic
Yeah.
games. So
No,
how
I
they're
completely
going.
agree with you on that one, Viraj. It's just that, like, what I'm saying is that, if it is going to go in that direction, let's say with Metal Gear Rising, right? If they
Mm,
continue that game, I like the game myself. Trust me, I love it. But
mm,
it's basically going in a different direction that's still in that same universe, kind of similar to what you're saying. Like somebody else will basically keep the mantle, and at the
mm,
same time, it takes in a different direction that doesn't seem to be similar to the original. It actually
mm,
keeps the integrity of the original in there. But to
mm.
have somebody and say like, I'm gonna remake Metal Gear Solid, and the record of this gentleman probably is not similar to Kojima. It's
Yeah.
going to be a bit of a chaos. It's like I
Who,
mean honestly,
who
like
would you pick
you
then,
know,
Shin? Who
what's
would
that?
you have, mate?
Hmm?
Who would you choose to carry on the series?
Oh God.
If anybody is gonna carry on the series, I'll be honest. I'd rather I'd rather have it stay the way it is. Whoever is going to touch it
His
right now,
co-writers.
yeah, like
Yeah.
well, the
Well,
thing is that like with Metal Gear Solid is that you can have it's a group of people. It's not just Kojima itself. You
yeah.
know, it's like a band. If you don't have the same member of the band, even though it might still sound the same, play
Yeah,
the same,
different
it
flavour.
doesn't have that same integrity anymore. So if you're gonna ask me whoever's gonna touch the mantle, I mean, by all means, whoever's gonna try it out, try it out. But you cannot expect a lot of the hardcore fans to automatically just accept it just because oh, you brought back something, or you're connecting, the story between the Diamond Dogs into Zanzibar Land and all the other ones for Metal Gear One. It's up to them to do it, sure, but don't expect that we're all gonna be like, rolling around on the ground and frothing in the mouth the same way we did with Kojima. Because let's face it, the way that Kojima did it for Metal Gear Solid is not the same way as many other producers or directors would do it. Like there is a little bit of a mind fuck, there is a little bit of political in there, and at the same time, there's a lot of statement that is mainly Kojima's own thoughts that are put into the game. You cannot have that with all these new guys and just all of a sudden they're going to put their own thoughts into the game because it's not going to be the same.
Especially what they did with Survive. If Survive didn't exist, then I'll give this a chance. I mean,
Oh,
okay, do it
wait
then.
until we get to survive. Wait until we get to survive.
Okay,
All right.
Zombie
Survive.
Do
game?
not even get me started with Survive. Do not
wait,
get me
all right.
started with Survive.
All right.
You
All
want to
right.
play a zombie game?
All right, guys.
I have a
Uh,
fun.
We.
You want some
I think
Cuban
we're.
energy? I have some Cuban energy.
All right. All right. So, guys, I think we're going overtime with the first game in the series. So let's go ahead with the next one, which is Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. I don't know if anyone played it before.
Intro was
And
awesome.
and before we proceed with the second game in the series, let's give a shout out to everyone here on the chat. We got Clark Prambiano of Clark21 just for fun. Uh, John Derek Antonio, thank you so much for tuning in. Titus, we also have the Game Slug Show here on the show. Teo Katapusan, Diane Tubig, who says Sir Joe Kevin Malyari. Ayan. And
Hello.
we also have one of my good friends here in Cebu City, Kurt Labrado of Damon Fox Gaming, Mr. Joe Marie Deser of Joe Marie Joestar. Let's see here. We also have Minchips Gaming on the show, and also Sir Paolo Christopher Torno Fernandez, um, Sir Joe M10 of Joe Marotelo, also a member of Pinoy Retro Gaming. So thank you so much, guys, for
Hello.
joining us, and also Sir Siebert Silagan, also
Hi,
one of the
Siebert.
Hello, KFC Bert. One of our
He's
former
got a
regular
death,
panels here on the
he's got
show.
a death wish with that Chrono Trigger comment. I'll just say that much. I read it. No need
Yeah, I saw that from
to be uncalled for.
Seabit. Yes, so long as they don't make anything Metal Gear anything remotely like Chrono Trigger ever, I'll definitely that.
Okay, we're going to have a Chrono Trigger episode soon, so maybe we can skip the, on the future episode. And we also have Kushin's other half here, Momo Cringe. Welcome to the show. And we also have latecomers here, Krablig Azadnem. Welcome, guys, and Lazy Pixel.
Latecomers.
Thank you.
I
Thank you for
misheard
joining
that.
us.
I misheard that as crabbling. You know.
Krablig.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm sorry. I misheard.
All right. So going back to the second game, Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. So this is there's also one misconception here that when you say Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, everybody thinks about Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. So this is a different game, for which is the sequel to Metal Gear for the MSX. This one was released for only for MSX2 because this machine was only released for Japan. So the premise of the game, you still have Solid Snake, still a member of Foxhound. Now he was assigned to a different in a different mission to infiltrate and rescue a certain scientist because in this
Oh, hell
mission
no.
and so we have the
That always
we have the game footage here on our screen right now for anyone who's listening in to the podcast, the audio only podcast. So Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake was tasked to rescue a certain scientist who was being forced to who was kept as hostage by a group called Zanzibar Land, who is being who's being commanded by Big Boss. And then during this time in 1999, there was like a oil crisis. So everyone, the oil reserves is plummeting. So this scientist was doing his research on like Oilex. Was it Oilex where it replicates a new form of energies um, to prevent like the energy crisis. So Zanzibar Land um, kidnapped the scientist, and it's up for Solid Snake to rescue this scientist from Zanzibar Land, and also to prevent a new Metal Gear from launching a nuclear launch. So, guys, do you have any experiences with this game? Have you played this game on the
I
original release or in like a port, uh, the PS3 port or the Xbox port?
I agree with Kuya Kurt in regards to
Yes,
the Mel
report.
Gibson thing because that's what we all call him too.
Mel Gibson Snake.
I wasn't
This,
gonna
this,
say
yeah,
anything, but you know,
no, it's seriously, it really is Mel Gibson. I swear to God.
it's just
Yeah,
him. You
Hey,
know.
we got that screenshot earlier.
I think that's Mel Gibson from the Mad Max movie.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like Kojima was definitely been like watching Escape from New York, Mad Max, and all these other movies. You can tell that he's the type of creator that like whatever movie he's watching or whatever series that he's at, he's gonna try to apply it on his game no matter what.
Right. Because
Yeah,
we know he
look at Police Notes.
uh,
Yeah,
it's
another Mel Gibson.
Yeah, and like noticed that I know that like we're skipping enough years on the series here, but you would notice with Hideo Kojima, who whatever series that he's at, especially if you're reading or watching his Twitter, best
He's
believe
always
that like his game has some of those heavily influenced that.
Exactly,
Especially like
especially
with Metal
with
Gear.
Death Stranding.
Well,
Death
yeah,
Stranding.
Death Stranding is a good example, di ba, kuya? Another one is like with the latest one, Metal Gear Solid 5, right? Have you noticed that it became episodical because he got so hooked into watching 24?
Oh,
I don't know that.
wait,
That's a
which
yeah, I
new
one?
think
Which one?
yeah,
knowledge.
Think about it, guys.
Phantom
It's
Pain.
like, yeah, Phantom
Oh,
Pain, and
Yeah.
then like that's
Kiefer
why it's
Sutherland.
like when they said that like he got Kiefer Sutherland, I was like, he only wanted Kiefer Sutherland
Mm.
because now he can get
Ah,
Kiefer Sutherland, not because of any other political thing. It's just that he's like, I like 24. Oh my god, I want Metal Gear Solid 5 to be episodical. Oh, Kiefer Sutherland. We need to get Kiefer Sutherland, and that's why we have Kiefer
the
for
man is
Venom.
obsessed with his
yeah,
movies and
yes.
I thought it
pop
was just
culture.
based on Peace Walker, like that episode
No, no, I mean,
one.
oh no,
No, no, no, no. Like
No.
think
not
about it.
even.
Like when you play that when you play MGS5, notice that like every
Yeah.
mission feels like an
Mm.
episode that has like the
Yeah,
credits.
The
yeah,
The
credits,
yeah,
only
yeah.
thing
yes.
the
Of course,
only
it
thing
has
that
a
is
time.
missing, yeah, exactly. Like think about it. If you guys just try to put the monologue of Kiefer Sutherland in 24 and then play Metal Gear Solid 5, for some reason it blends well, like biscuit and coffee.
Oh, really? I actually didn't know about this until now, and everybody was as shocked as I am.
Has,
And
it, has Viraj mentioned Snatcher at all earlier in the episode?
Like I
Oh,
Yeah,
said,
yeah, he
whenever you're
mentioned
playing
it.
Metal
exactly.
Gear
That's
or
on
hear about
I
Metal
think
Gear, it's
that's
new
I think
knowledge.
he
that's on
had
ground
to
zero.
go.
No, is it?
Yeah,
Did he mention? Has he mentioned the game Snatcher before?
yeah,
He
yeah. I
mentioned
think
Snapchat
yeah, he
before.
mentioned it.
Yes.
Yeah, because
Severaj.
Snatcher is obviously
It's like
Blade
Hey,
Z.
Runner.
yeah, Blade Runner.
It is. It is.
Oh,
It
yeah,
pretty
Blade
much
Runner.
is.
Metal Gear is mentioned in Snatcher as well.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a
Yes.
bit of there's a
Exactly.
bit of reference there, and it's a pretty
Mhm.
powerful game.
Plus, Meryl is from Police Nuts too.
He's not
Yes, correct,
Yeah.
correct. Yes.
isn't it? And yeah, it's all great stuff.
So you're right. You're right about Kojima using his movie influences big time because essentially Snatcher he just rewrote Blade Runner and made a
Yeah.
game out of it. Really, didn't he?
Exactly.
He put a
Exactly.
xenomorph in one of the backgrounds.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hideo Kojima is a film nut. Yeah. And speaking of Hideo Kojima, if you look closely, the photo of Shin, he kind of looks like Hideo Kojima. I don't know if he's intentionally imitating Hideo Kojima or
You
is
No,
just
no,
the
no, no.
when I
He
was
doesn't have the glasses. He has different brand glasses.
yeah, it's a different brand glasses, but it's like you can definitely tell on my picture. I'm saying, did you like it?
Yeah, you're pretty good.
Yeah, there you go.
That was amazing.
that's a Metal Gear Solid fan right there. So Metal Gear to Solid Snake. So it's pretty much the same game as Metal Gear, but in this
Oh,
one they introduced new innovations in the game. So they now have the alert system. They have the
the
evasion
radar.
system. The radar, the Soliton radar that they have. Although they did not call it the Soliton radar up
Yeah,
until
it's
they
just the
released.
radar.
Yeah, just the radar. So it 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 introduced something that we have seen in the succeeding Metal Gear games, right? Like the alert level, the evasion, and it
The
also
crawling.
it introduced the crawling. And as we know, stealth games, it involves a lot of tight spaces like crawling through vents, and then like there's even if you see a box if you see a box, you need to like crouch down so the guards won't see you because they're not in within your like their range
Your sight.
viewing range, right? So, do you
They
have
also introduced
any?
Nagi.
Uh, yeah,
That
I
to
think they yeah.
to lure the guards.
For a game that was it, I'm not sure if it's still in the 8-bit era or the 16-bit. They introduced pretty much new features in the game that was carried out in the succeeding games. So it's innovative as well during that time. It's way ahead. We haven't seen that in a different. We haven't seen that in different games because most of the games back then were platformers, right? Platformers. You have RPGs. This is a different gameplay like experience for everyone who's into platforming and RPG games. And what are your thoughts? Who have played Metal Gear to Solid Snake again? Do you have anything else to add, Sergio?
Nothing much. I just watched the walkthrough as well. But I tried it on the PS3 version. But
The
yeah, I'm still looking forward to have it remake someday. But then
uh,
again, we're just
I
going
don't.
back to that
Yeah,
argument.
discussion that we had. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, I haven't played the game completely, but I know key parts in the game that was um, carried like it was the plot. It was included in the plot for the next game, which is Metal Gear Solid, the one that we all used to know, the first Metal Gear Solid game for the PS1, which is Metal Gear Solid that was released back in 1998 for the PS1. So this
Let's
is
go.
the Metal Gear that we came to know about. Um,
Big
so again,
big game.
we got new innovations that were added in the game, and a brief um, discussion about the a brief summary for like the setting for the game is that you still play as Solid Snake, who came out from retirement to he was asked by his former commander
Campbell.
Colonel Campbell
Was also
to
retired.
infiltrate. Yes, who also retired.
Retired.
So
Also
both of
retired.
them came out from retirement, right?
Yeah.
So they were called out because there was a group of bandits who were trying to launch a nuclear strike, and their only demand is to get this amount of money,
Hmm.
or so they know, and like the remains of Big Boss, whom we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about earlier in the previous games. So it introduced some of the games that were introduced, some of the features that was introduced in the second game, Metal Gear 2, which was the crawling. But this time, this was the first game that was graced with the 3D rendering. So
Yes.
It
hence
also
the
had
name
first person.
yes, hence the name Metal Gear Solid, because it's the first game to be rendered into 3D. So let me ask someone from the panel, what were your experiences with Metal Gear Solid, Sir Dan?
Yeah, mate. I had it for PS1. I think I've still got it somewhere. Actually, I should have brought it
Oh,
with me.
nice.
But yeah, it's a. I think it's a fantastic game. Absolutely, brilliant game. Mind blowing at the time. Nothing else like it. Um, Finished it several times. Like a Mantis fight. Things like that really were just crazy. You know what I mean? And took it to another level. So I've got a lot of love for the game. I think it's a fantastic game.
All right. And how about Sir Rosalo?
I first watch Metal Gear Solid from my brother. We are at the rental shops.
Right, right.
He's already on the start of disc 2, the blast after killing Sniper Wolf. Then when the Metal Gear Rex fight happened, a lot of kids from our neighborhood come in and watch us, watch my brother play, and they're all screaming, rations, rations, rations,
The backseat
ration,
gamers way back.
ration. Then they they stand for hours just to see the game end. And then my best experience there is I learned a lot of English vocabulary because of that due to their
True,
subtitles.
true. That's true. That's true.
It's
Mm.
funny now how we don't learn actual English from English class, but in video games instead, and
Exactly.
Right.
Yes,
in
And
exactly.
TV.
and then and then they tell us they don't they video games don't teach us shit. Then why do we speak English, or why do we learn about history, right? We learn
Or
much
how
more
did we know
English.
that yeah, exactly. And how do we know that you can easily put a cigarette inside your stomach?
Oh,
I honestly don't know what that means. Was it literal, or
It was
he
literal.
just like
Literally,
what?
in order for him to hide those cigarettes away from the inspection, he literally have to
they
swallow
had to
those
fucking
and then
swallow.
puke it out.
Oh,
And would like to add, I became also an influencer to my classmates as well when we were playing I showed them Metal Gear Solid 1. So I played up until I first fought Ocelot. And I was 11 back then.
mm,
And I was able to, we were enjoying the whole cutscene and up until Ocelot. And now my two classmates are now diehard fans of Metal Gear franchise more than me.
right, right. And how about Sir Trix?
Oh man, well, like, my first experience with Metal Gear wasn't even Metal Gear Solid. With Metal Gear Solid One, wasn't even the Solid. My first foray into it was the VR missions. So I did those. I thought you had to do those first. So I thought thought of it as a training exercise since it's a
Tutorial.
VR missions. Yeah, I didn't think it would take me 200 missions, but I did it anyway. And so after that, I went into the game, and the game kicked my ass still. But I learned a lot of neat tricks from the VR missions. Like I did a lot of weird stuff, like putting C4 on a guy, like like pretending
Yeah.
Snake had mystical fireballs when using the stinger. Like I would fire a
Uh,
stinger and just made him punch, made him look like he has powers and stuff. Like, and of course, I initially did not know how to fight Psycho Mantis properly. And when my brother asked, "Did you know about the trick?" and I was dumbfounded. What trick? You didn't put it in. You didn't put it in the second port. Why would I do that? I wouldn't be able to play it then. Oh, you did not know, did you? I fought him honestly for an hour and 30 minutes, just punching like with my pistol. I ran out of ammo. It was just, oh, okay, okay. You cheated me out of that one. You were watching like an asshole.
yeah,
Actually,
Actually,
I'm
You kind
actually
of
yeah.
one of
were.
those victims of the fourth wall breaks, especially when said that look at the back of the CD case. I
Oh,
played the
that one I
pirated
knew.
way back.
Yeah, yeah.
I just rent it, and what's the back of the CD case? Excuse me. What's the what's the case of the Metal Gear? What's the back? So I really have no idea at that time. But yeah,
Yeah,
like what Rosella have said. Actually, I have the figures that you can see on Toycon.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yes.
yeah, the Solid Snake. There you go.
Nice.
And
Sweet,
Gray Fox. Yeah,
Oh
this
god.
is
sweet.
we're going to display next
Oh
month.
god.
on
Ah,
Toy-Con.
nice.
Yeah, going back. I'm one of those people who just rent the game. So the first Metal Gear that I have finished was um, Metal Gear Solid 3. That's when I got
Mhm.
a PS2 from my uncle
Ah,
way back. But those memories from Metal Gear Solid 1 um, kept until I went into high school, college. That I'm like, I'm going to play this again. I know that time that I like Metal Gear. I like sneaking games. I like to think on how to infiltrate. So that's when I went to Metal Gear Solid 3, and of course I thought he was Solid Snake at first.
The funny thing about my experience with Metal Gear Solid was, I was actually kind of sneaky, and then when it came to the boss fights, I would brute force everything. like like I was not ready to take on Raven and his tank, so I just started chucking grenades everywhere. Like I would shoot down the soldiers first, then started chucking grenades. Like everything, like one thing they did innovate in Metal Gear Solid is how the freedom you can do with stuff. Like when Snake was jailed, right? Like during the interrogation. So in order to escape, there's multiple. I had calluses back then. Just so
Yeah.
in between those, you were stuck in a cell, and at some point, you have to bust yourself out. There are
right,
multiple ways to do that, and
right.
that's one of the coolest things for me in
Yeah.
Metal Gear
So
Solid.
immersion. Yeah. Immersion. So
Yeah.
how about Sir Shin?
Actually, it's funny that Beatrix mentioned the word immersion, but considering that this is my first game in PS1, and I've been like playing all the other games in the 16-bit era, so like I'm into heavy conversation, dialogues, and whatnot on a game. Like I want to be immersed into the world. When I got the first Metal Gear Solid game, literally, I think I spent way more time listening to them talk than actually playing the whole game. That even when I go to school, I literally would still hear all of their conversation inside my head, and then like you can hear the codec and whatnot. Because this is around the time that when like we finally had the first PlayStation, and technology is much better, so we have audio and we have voice actors now finally talking
Yes.
to each other. It's not like back in the day that like your eyes can just read through the text and press skip and that's it. You literally wanted to sit down and listen to them talk. So having like that drama happen within, not just in the game itself, but also within the codec, especially during the
No.
revelation of that Master Miller is not even Master Miller
Yes.
anymore.
Me
Um,
here, brother.
the
What?
exactly Master Miller has been found
Yeah.
in his cabin for 3 days. He's already been dead. It's like,
And
oh, okay, so who I've been talking to? Me,
Me
brother.
here,
brother.
Oh, look
brother.
at look at me wave my freaking hair in 32-bit glory. Hello, brother. I'm your British brother named Solid. It's like,
I
The,
am your
Liquid.
shadow.
my
And
yeah,
I
yeah,
like
my
when he introduced himself, like he was doing the
he was doing that.
when it was Master Miller. You have this. His hair was like
Very
ponytailed
sweet, yeah.
behind.
yeah.
Then when
Ray
he
Ban
revealed,
glasses.
he did it like this. Then
And then
then
he
he
takes off
made
his
the
glasses,
Me.
hair.
takes it off, and
Yes,
waves his hair
it
around
was
like as if
me.
he's from a freaking
Yeah.
shampoo commercial.
Though my
Yeah,
favorite conversation from the codec was got to be in between the interrogation, where Naomi was providing help for you, since Naomi
Yes.
is your
yeah.
medical assistant. And the funniest forceful break for me was put your controller on your arm.
Ah,
Yeah.
right.
So yeah, they are thinking about you since you've been playing for a while. It's been and maybe this will help ease the stress for a bit. That's
Exactly.
one of the things that I
Uh,
found cool.
Exactly.
but if you
And you mentioning sorry, since you're mentioning Naomi, that's the other thing that really got me so immersed into the story because you have like this teenager who's just enjoying a video game and now getting into the world of, Metal Gear Solid. And then you have nothing but betrayal left, right, and center. And like while you're
Mm-hmm.
being betrayed, tortured, and at the same time being clueless of what you needed to do, here's your freaking superior who's not even telling you the whole fucking story of what's going on. And you're like, okay, seriously, Campbell, what is it? I'm telling you everything I know. No, seriously. No, seriously. I'm about to die here. And you're still telling me partial of what fucking White House told you. What really is happening here? Up until all the way till the end. They're all like, "Oh, all's well but the ends well." Oh, by the way, there's some jet fighters that are going towards your direction. They're gonna hit some missiles in Moses Island. It,
So
did we just kill some fucking liquid stick? Well, you see, there's this other thing that we've been trying not to tell you, Snake. It's like Jesus Christ, Campbell. Can I
What
even
was
trust
he?
you for at least 5 fucking seconds?
What was? When were they even there? What was he even there? They were just
Seriously,
gonna
this is
bomb
the
him
reason.
anyway.
This is the reason why I completely understand why after that
yeah.
Snake really hit the freaking throttle on that ski
No,
with Meryl. He's like, I am so
no.
fucking out of here because the last thing I would want is that Campbell would call me again and something would come up.
Yes, and because back at the end of Metal Gear 2, he announced his retirement. So he went to Alaska to sled dogs, so to get away from the stuff,
Yeah.
the political, right? And
Yes.
then you have this Colonel Campbell call you in. Then, hey Snake, we need you here.
They
Then
didn't
Snake,
even call him in. They
he
abducted him from his
yeah, he
ship.
was
Yeah, exactly. They abducted
yeah.
him. They didn't just like, hey, Snake, hey, it's been a while. So why did you just come into the office? We got a bit of a problem
They
here.
got
No,
guns trained at him.
literally,
Snake.
he's just like mushing his dogs. Next thing you know, he went inside his cabin, and they got like a bunch of soldiers, gun pointed at him, covered his head. Next thing you know, he's being inspected, and they're telling him, "Oh, by the way, no smoking on this mission." What? Son of a bitch! I'm gonna swallow this thing right now.
Snake was like, Colonel, what the hell? All right.
But
So,
that
uh,
cigarette saved his life. If he didn't have the thermal goggles,
Exactly. If you don't have the thermal goggles, you might as well start smoking. And guess what?
uh,
That thing saved your life.
Ironically.
yeah,
Ironically, exactly.
Yeah.
it okay. So let's move on since we're about to run out of time. So let's get through it. Let's do a speed run of the remaining games
Speed
here.
run.
So we
Speed
have
run of
This is gonna be a
MGS.
all
challenge.
right.
This is gonna be a
MGS2,
challenge.
MGS2, because that's the
All
best.
right.
That's the best for
So
me.
let's go ahead with Metal Gear Solid 2 that was released for the PS2 in
Right.
2001. So this
Yep.
is the Big
Daddy.
Shell incident.
Yes, big
So
shell
it
incident.
was the setting was
Read that
in
original.
2000. It's 2007 and
Big Shell.
2009, right?
The ultimate
Between
mindfuck
right,
game out of all of them.
right,
2005
and
to 2009, yes. Yes.
right.
They are
So
2 years
Found,
apart.
found original as well. Found original. But
nice,
Oh.
nice. Does it have the codec for Meryl at the back of the CD case?
let's have a look.
There should be the
I think it's this.
140.15.
It's the screen cap that.
Yeah, you will see there, Meryl.
There's it.
14015. There we are.
Yes.
All right.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
that's it.
Confirm, confirm.
140. Confirm. It is the back of the CD case.
Yeah.
All right. So Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. Here, um, Solid Snake is still in this game, and they introduced a new character in the form of Raiden. Um, so this game is a two-part story. So you have
Yes.
Solid Snake on the it's like 30% of the game. Then you have the rest for Raiden. So first, um, Solid Snake, they were acting alone together with Otacon. They're trying to
Yes.
reveal Metal Gear to the world.
Yeah, they created their
Uh,
their non-profit organization during this time. So they're
to
not working for any government whatsoever.
right. So um, they are trying to they are trying to like expose Metal Gear to the world before it gets mass produced so they can get sentiments from other non-government organizations like NATO or some. That was their purpose,
Oh God,
and
this scene.
yeah.
Have you guys ever done a codec while looking
Uh,
at that?
I don't think it exists in the substance. I
Oh,
don't
the
think that
subsistence. Because if you
they
if
like.
you yeah, if you look at that model inside the locker and call
And then call
Otacon,
Otacon.
you're going to look at Solid Snake and the way that he's panting really hard while talking to Otacon.
I think they cut that in the like the revised version in substance because I tried it
Oh,
They better
several
not
times
cut
with
this in the collection. Like,
you might
this
have
is
to kneel down. Did you kneel
hilarious.
down?
Even Melee was
Mm,
there.
I'm going to
Oh.
try that one. I'm going to try that one. So, any thoughts of the game? So, Cerberaj, what was your thoughts in this game when you first played it?
I
What
remember
are
it
your
was.
experiences?
I remember it was. I found this a bit more difficult than the first game. And when I found that I like the little twist. Well, I don't want to spoil anything. There's obviously there's that bit where you play as Raiden, but you're naked. I thought, what is this? And he's running around. I just throw that out there. I thought this man's got a woman's body. He doesn't look like he's tough. He doesn't look like he can take anyone out. And you're hiding in boxes and whatnot. So that was a tough part of the game.
That-
You know,
There's an actual reason for that,
why is
actually.
this man's heart in my face?
Yeah, we hated
Awaken
Raiden for
something
this
in
game.
me. It might awaken something in me. So, but
Oh,
that
my-
being said,
My sister liked Raiden.
Mhm.
what? Well, I don't know.
No,
I
I
don't.
hated his guts
I
in
don't
this
want to open
game,
that can. I
honestly.
don't. There's judgment free here. Your sister's okay to like whoever she likes. But anyway, I thought it was generally a very good game for what it was, and it was definitely a big release for the PlayStation 2. I remember that was when I first started working. So I was 16 when this game came out, and my first job was working in the game shop. And whenever I saw the PlayStation 2, people would be like, "Well, what game should I get for it?" I said, "Well, why don't you go for that one? That's like a quite prolific game." He goes, "Oh yeah, right, sure. I played the first one, and I didn't know there was a second one." And then there were some people who didn't know there was a second one, and I used to always try and pack it in with whatever system deal that I tried to sell because I knew that was a very good game to go
Yeah.
for. Having played it myself and enjoyed it, I mean, my favorite is there's something about the first that I really like, but this one continues that and amps it up a bit more. It's certainly more difficult in the way that it plays, but hey, you can't go wrong with Metal Gear Solid 2. But yeah, if you're not a fan of male nudity, you might want to stay away from this game.
Yeah, oh yes. I have to double agree with that 110%.
All right, so let's go ahead with Rosalo. What was your experiences with this game?
Yeah, so far the best Metal Gear Solid that I ever played. Seems like I finished it more than 5 times.
Ooh, nice.
Nice.
Yes, more than 5 times. Uh this guy uh, this guy
I need
Oh, the
scissors.
mindfuck, the
still haunts me till this day.
Yeah.
This guy.
But you still
part?
managed to.
Is it the Japanese resident addresses that he keeps on repeating in like a weird robotic form, or is it like when he's telling you to turn it off?
Not
Which part?
not just that, the whole JD and GW thing, yeah. Even the
Oh,
last codec conversations.
Yeah,
And
don't
this
you love it
guy,
that like no matter how long that game has been created, every time you look back at that whole speech that the machine decided to tell you, it still reflects up to this day. You could look back at it and you would still say like,
exactly,
"Oh my God, why is it basically what's happening right now?"
Chat
Mhm,
GPT.
Actually,
exactly.
Sheen, I'm one of those victims. That part, I played that at night, and it
Yeah.
really is terrifying for me.
Oh,
Especially
you're
when he
not
said that.
alone, Kuya. You know
I,
yeah. Back in the
especially when he
States,
said
I
turn
actually
turned off the console.
turn
Right?
off the console. It's like you've been
Yeah,
playing
that's
for
like,
too long. You have to turn off the
and
console,
that's
right?
where, yeah, I'm just in the
I
living room
you know
playing by my, but what? That sounded wrong. Playing by myself that time because they're already
yeah,
sleeping.
yeah, I sneak in and actually played the game because I wanted to finish it because I borrowed it from a classmate of mine. Now, in the middle of that game, when he tells me to turn off my console because I've been playing for too long, I literally was like, should I go to the bathroom right now and take a leak or something might show up in there, or should I just stay here? Like literally, I was frozen. And I every time I look back in that date, it was like, am I? Because here's the thing with me when I was playing this game, I was already like getting tired, but I really want to finish the game, so I was already kind of drowsy. So a part of me was thinking like, did I just imagine that because I'm sleepy,
Mm.
or is it really happened in the game? But the more you continue playing, the more you're like, you know what? I really probably do need some sleep. I'm gonna turn this off. And you end up like playing the game again, and then you get the fission mailed, and then like
Mm.
you thought that like the game is over because it minimizes itself on the side, right? Because every time
Mm.
you have a mission failed, it minimizes the image where you died, and it says
Yeah.
mission mailed.
Yes.
It shouldn't
It
be.
when it started to actually act weird on the last part of the battle, I thought that I really did have like a mission fail. So
Mm.
I dropped my controller and just like I keep on pressing X so that I can continue. And then I was like, wait a minute, why is the battle still happening all the? Oh wait, I'm still alive. And then I literally did die. And I was like, son of a bitch. That's why
You'll ruin
literally,
your eyes so close to the TV. That's what
yeah,
they
like
wanted to say.
literally, I honestly, out of all of the series of Metal Gear Solid, this is like the pinnacle of mindfuck.
Arkham wishes they can emulate this with their scarecrow fears.
Exactly, exactly.
This one scared the hell out of me. I swear. But I
Uh,
like Metal Gear Solid 2. I just so happened that when I first played MGS3, we know that it's already Big Boss, and then I played MGS1, and then when I played MGS2, of course, I'm looking forward to play as Solid Snake, but
Yes.
surprise, surprise, okay, maybe we're just gonna play as Raiden, and it's like just separate ways, but no, you're gonna play Raiden until the end of the game.
Didn't
I
you
like
like
it betrayed.
Iroquois, Pliskin?
I get betrayed.
Yeah. And for those who are, I remember Kuya Kurt Labrado mentioned that earlier, like John Carpenter and whatnot. Yes, this is also another thing
What?
where Hideo Kojima pretty much are so blatant about his fandom now that he's using the name Iroquois Pliskin, and I'm just like,
yeah.
can you like escape from New
Can you
York
get any
much?
more
Escape from
obvious?
here
Jesus Christ.
again with the movie. All right.
I mean,
So
Metal Gear Solid 2 was just a total head screw, like you say, to me.
Yeah.
It were. I loved the first bits where you played a snake. I liked
Yes.
some of the game when you were Raiden, but I hated playing as Raiden. You know what I mean? It's similar
The
to what
character.
Viraj says. It were a bit too
Exposed.
whoopsie. Yes, a bit too whoopsie.
I don't.
But the last third of the game was just like, I mean, I was only 20 odd when I played it, and that just
Yes.
screwed my head completely. I was like, whoa, man, whoa, it's a bit too much to process.
Yeah.
why I'm con-
I mean,
why am I
you gotta
controlling
According
admit
this
though.
chick?
to according to Kojima, we, the player, are Raiden, and Snake is our mentor. And that's also the reason why I didn't play Metal Gear 1, because they, as part of the plot, Ocelot is repeating the history between the relationship between Big Boss and Solid Snake with
Yeah. Well,
the
also,
depiction of Raiden and Solidus.
yeah, that's basically what the whole Big Shell incident is. Anyways, it's a simulation.
But
Everything that's
The
like,
S3 plan.
Like,
yeah, the
it
S3
worked.
plan.
The opposite worked though, didn't it? Kojima went to make you try and see Snake as a legend, as a hero,
Yeah.
Yes.
and what actually happened is it made you see Raiden as a pansy.
It was
I
a
mean,
plan.
Well,
that's what happened,
I
didn't
mean,
it?
it's not.
We are
I
that's why
agree.
we are Raiden. And then there's a
Yeah.
time that Kojima told us that we are actually, when we play a gay character, he tells us we are gay.
Oh,
no, I
Something
think
like
that,
that.
Raiden
Oh,
is
okay, Rosella. I don't know about that take, but I think
yeah,
what he, what
that's
you
weird.
know,
Okay.
that
Or
that's even
maybe I'm
weird.
just
It's like,
saying it wrong. Yeah, probably.
yeah, I don't think it has anything to do whether if it's like you're gay or anything. But if anything, like what they're trying to do here is that like, Kojima wants you to play as Raiden as him, And that's the reason why they even ask you to put your name into the name tag in the very
And
beginning
your
of the game,
birthday.
you know. And
Yeah.
then like what's happening here is that like when they revealed that the S3 plan is a simulation, story wise is a simulation for Raiden to basically mimic what happened between Solid Snake and the Big
And
Boss,
bring
which is why the fight between President Sears slash Solid the Snake and um Raiden happened is because they are trying to repeat that whole thing. But if you look at it in a different hindsight, you're basically a part of the program. You, the player, are actually being pulled into the simulation because you are so much of a fan of Metal Gear that they Hideo Kojima pretty much put you into the simulation itself to experience like basically what Raiden is experiencing, but to put like
Exactly.
the connotation that he's trying to call us as fancies and whatnot. No, that's not it. Because like Raiden, that's his character. He is basically a war child that's completely troubled and bothered. And yeah, he whines a lot. But I don't think Kojima is trying to tell us that we're a bunch of whiny bastards, but rather what he's trying to say is that like here's a
Black
soldier
sheep.
that I believe can relate to you guys because look, he's trying to save the fucking world while having a bit of a conversation with his girlfriend about if it's the fucking anniversary tomorrow.
Actually, the
Happy
reason,
Rose.
I don't know if it's true now or not. Apparently, the reason why Raiden was created was he wanted to appeal to the female crowd as well. So
There you go. Yes, thank you. Yeah,
when
that was
he
also mentioned in an article.
when he asked about when he asked the female population of what they want to play as, is they want no, they didn't want to play as some scruffy old dude. They wanted to play as uh, an actual attractive guy. Hence, Raiden
A feminine
exists.
man, a feminine, attractive guy. He's got a
Yeah,
feminine look
effeminate.
about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually it because that was the demographic in
I want to
Japan.
see this survey. I want to see what sort of women that did this. I want to see
I
the
mean,
kind
That,
of
I mean,
women.
this is
that
also
wasn't this was in Japan, but
yeah.
just remember
This is
this was
also
in
around
Japan.
the time.
This
If you
this was during the time of Oran High School's host club. The
yeah,
Bishonen side.
this is also around the time like when Devil May Cry is also like the most popular game out there. And if you look at every single anime out there, you have like
Oh,
guys with white hair
white
running
hair.
around.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hello,
and the pop
Sephiroth, very sexy
culture,
man.
the
All I'm
pop
gonna
culture
say
of visual K in Japan
Yeah,
was
it's, yeah,
was
that was
rampant.
that was the top thing back then. So that's one reason that why Raiden exists and why Solid Snake
To
just took the
basically
backseat.
yeah,
it's
exactly. To
unnatural for a
basically
man
get
like that to have no body hair whatsoever. Man's got no body hair.
Yeah,
Right?
because
Got no hair. That's not a
yeah.
man. That's a
wait.
freak.
Let's not even talk about the body here. How did
I
he
ain't even
manage
got
to do those
any,
ninja
Mirage.
this ninja somersaults, guys? Jesus. Like
Okay,
forget the body hair. Think about the somersault he's been doing while holding
okay,
his junk.
okay. Funny story about that. Okay, my experience with Metal Gear 2 is okay. So okay, I was having fun with the new with the new mechanics. The first person view finally getting introduced into the
Yeah.
game where you
Yeah.
get to play with it.
Right. Right.
The coolants and the stamina kill, which I never did. I just straight up killed everyone. Why? Why? They're terrorists. Fucking kill them. Okay. And then my sister saw me play. My sister saw me and my brother playing it. She wants to play. Okay. Okay. She has her new save, and long after we finished it, I didn't even mind the naked riding scene. So
Uh,
that one was hilarious for me. I was laughing out loud, fucking going around going and
Doing those roundhouse kicks with
Yeah.
the
he
hands.
was spinning. It was hilarious. Okay, so
I mean, I do think
I gotta have to ask this to you guys. Did you guys actually pointed the microphone to one of the girls?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
Guilty
yes.
as charged.
Well,
Directional microphone.
I did it to
Yes.
Emma. I did it to Emma at least.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you know what, like this made me believe that like there's no way that there won't be anybody in a Kojima game either pooping or pissing.
Oh, poor Johnny.
For Johnny.
Johnny.
Yeah.
I thought that like Otacon pretty much like got over his his bladder issues So I
Yeah.
was like, hey, you know what? There's no way that somebody's gonna end up peeing in here. And I pointed the directional mic to one of the girls. It's like, are you Amy's? Are you the President Ames? Piss everywhere. And I'm like, oh well, there's the piss that I was waiting for.
The one fun thing. Okay, so after we were done, me and my brother play. After done playing it, my sister was still trudging along. She got to
Yeah.
the part. She got to the part with Raiden. It's like, come in here. Like, what? What's wrong? And then she started. She pointed with Raiden. Just why?
Run, running
Why?
around
What's
naked.
wrong? Okay, and then she asked. And then she while we were quiet, she suddenly asked, "Can you see? Can we see it?" And then I just stared at her. I was like, "Oh,
Do you really
I
want to
don't know.
see it
I don't
though?
know." And she did. She tried so hard to see it. So she started flipping around and see if she can pause the camera. It's
He wants to
like
see.
pause or some. So she started cartwheeling towards the camera, and then she managed to find the part where you had to crawl through the vents, right? And at
Yeah.
some point it will zoom in. So she would try go back and forth the bits to see if they actually rendered something inside. So we just kept laughing and laughing. Are you really doing this? Yes, I want to know if did they go all the way? Mind you, she was 14.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
really?
Uh,
I mean,
We're
really?
going to the
let's
pieces.
add some drama. We all
She was.
cried on
I
Emma's
mean,
death.
you had.
No, yeah, I cried on Emma's
Yeah.
death as well. To be honest,
That was
Mm.
unexpected.
That's sad.
I mean, I had a bit of a tear with Sniper Wolf, but with Emma's death, that's the one that literally made me cry. I
Yeah.
mean, that whole thing where
Someone.
Otacon and Solid Snake had like that bro kind of like I got your back moment. That's when I finally like just let it all out. I don't know why.
Oh no, because
Maybe,
don't forget that she was so young when she died.
There's
yeah.
no
Yeah.
judgment here. There's no judgment here. We're all curious at some point. No one's judging anyone. It's okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's
I mean,
it's
I mean, if anything, if you really want to see some sort of that kind of thing I refer to you to Trouser Snake over here. That's Exhibit A. Is the
That's Rouser Snake.
snake you got to worry about? But it's it's a really good game. And if Sony do ever, I know they got a compilation of all three, but if Sony ever do come out with a PlayStation 2 Classic Mini, that is a game that should be included. I mean,
Yeah.
they did it right with this. I mean, okay, there's a lot of things wrong with this, but at least they got Sonic. At least they got Metal Gear Solid 1 in this thing. But if they want to right a wrong with a PS2 Classic Mini, they have to put Metal Gear Solid 2 and
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 3. We'll put both of them in there if they're going to make one.
Oh,
don't think they will.
nice segue. Now we're finally going to one of the best ones.
Yes,
All
go.
right. Okay, so we're going to the next game now, which is Metal
I
Gear
have to cry
Solid
on this
3
one. I will
Snake
cry on this.
Eater. So,
Snake Eater.
for anyone who doesn't know, we've debunked the difference between Big Boss and Solid Snake. So,
It's Big
this
Boss.
is
Big Boss is the
yes,
man.
this is Big Boss right here. But before he was called Big Boss, he was codenamed
Naked
Naked Snake. And the setting of this game is back in the in the middle of the Cold War between
the
the
US
West.
and Russia.
Yes,
Naked Snake is Big
and
Boss. What?
and this was back in 1964. So
After the
Oh.
World War, the world became into two, the East and West.
I thought the video
This
started
begins the
fucking
Cold War.
playing.
I thought you already
Yeah.
included the audio.
I'd rather call him the human snake because Solid Snake is the clone snake.
right, right. So this is the story of this is where Metal Gear started. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. So the setting was they were trying to they ordered someone to infiltrate and rescue a scientist named what was his
Sokolov.
name? Yes, Vladimir Sokolov, who was developing a weapon to launch nuclear strike against the US, and then um, it was they tasked a guy named John, who they gave a code name Naked Snake. So like Solid Snake before in Metal Gear, he was in the Green Beret, but an infiltration mission, sneaking mission is really like a newbie. He didn't know any survivals. He did have, but he's trying to sneak in without causing any alarm. So and he was forced to do that because he's in different territory. So war would ensue if he get discovered, right? So
Yeah.
um he's in Soviet Russia back in this game.
Yeah, he's basically
Uh,
doing a cleanup of the first messed up issue that they had with the Russian and the US. Because remember,
hmm,
the scientist Sokolov, right?
hmm,
So Sokolov defected, and then later on, in order for them to actually get one of the peace, not it's not even like a peace treaty. It's like one of the deals that they had, like with Russia. They want Sokolov back, so they decided, like the Russian got the deal with the Americans, and they took Sokolov back to Russia, and then Major Tom or Zero made a promise that he will try to get him out again, and this is where
hmm.
the first mission came in to be, where their whole plan is to rescue Sokolov
The
and
virtuals.
then get the hell out of there without getting caught.
The
Right.
virtuous mission.
Or it
I
could be
like
an
that.
It divert.
international
Yeah,
issue.
it was. Yeah,
I like
but
that you can see how green he is because when he first did his Halo jump, he lost his pack.
Yeah, I
The
know.
yeah,
first thing he
and
did is get everything back.
I
and
love the
maybe because it was a he was in a jungle, and there's a lot of trees. He was not, and I think he was not paying attention when he first did the Halo jump. Right, he was
He
asked
was
to throw his cigar.
he
It's
wasn't
like
he wasn't paying attention. He was more focused on trying to
that.
impress his mentor
Yeah.
in regards to the Halo jump. Because
Yeah,
if you listen to one of
this
the
is
codecs, it was pretty much stated that his mind was more focused on trying to do the proper execution of the Halo jump. He
Yeah.
doesn't even care about, like, his flask and everything and all that stuff that he has. All he care about is like the jump was perfect, because the one they said in the history of Metal Gear Solid is that, like, the one who created or formalized the Halo jump was the boss. So he wants to make a perfect performance.
And,
that's what you
yeah,
get. That's what you get.
they uh, that's they introduced the mentor who was the boss, and so summary right between the mission, the boss uh came up in front of him after not seeing him for years, right?
Yeah,
Then
because
he
like
was
the first they had the
yeah,
conversation of how
yeah,
long has it been, and then
yes,
Snake literally said the exact hours, seconds, and minutes since the last time they
right.
talked, and then she started guiding him through the whole mission, only to meet up with her again in the bridge after rescuing Sokolov.
Surprise!
It's been
And
5 years, 72
yeah,
days, and 18 hours.
There you go.
there you go. And and he, she reintroduced herself by defecting to the Russians, right? And he even gave like a present to his new unit, which is to his new like ally, which is Colonel
Oh
Volgan of
no,
the
Yeah, the
The
two
Davy
mini rockets,
Crockett,
the Davy Crockett's
give it back.
and
SMG.
Oh.
yes, and the
the
mission
nuclear rifle.
went awry. So it ended up um, like Volgan using those nuclear warheads to destroy a certain laboratory in
Yeah,
the
he wants to test it out, but really,
yes,
what's happening here is that they want to make sure that like the Davy Crockett would be
No
used
evidence. Yeah.
to frame the boss, basically to
yes,
leave a mark that like the U.S. has something to do with what just happened.
Mm.
right,
That's why he said, "Remember the Alamo."
right.
Man,
And
you really
that
had to
deep,
use that.
and
I
then
know, right?
you,
I
then
really like the gameplay in Snake 3. I really like the gameplay in Metal Gear Solid 3. I love the camouflage aspects in different uniforms.
uh,
Yes.
It
yeah,
really did
the
it set things up from the first two games, and I think I meant to mention earlier with these guys in the back room before we started. This was different in the sense that when Snake got hurt in the third game, it was parts of his body. It wasn't like a life bar; it was generic. They really did take this
Yes.
game to another level. They innovated
Hmm.
with this particular game. I think that made this game a lot more special than the first two, and something that I could really enjoy. And also the immersion, the camouflage aspect of it, the camouflage, but also the fact that you get to
Camouflage
sneak in the
index, the
jungle,
stamina meter, it basically gave
everything.
a whole lot different feel on the game.
right.
Yes, and you really were. You can't. Obviously, you really do want to get caught. That's the way it is. And 2/3 of the game is out in the jungle anyway. So it is a very different game to the first two. And I think that's what
Oh
makes
yeah.
it stand out, and it's quite special, in my
Uh,
opinion. Um,
Surviving on tree frogs and crab is like the best thing that ever happened to me.
well, there you
And
go.
right.
and
also-
some
Yeah.
noodles.
I didn't like the camouflage. I've got to say, I'm not that keen on number 3. I think it's a decent game still, but
Too slow for you, is it, Dan?
I
Too
preferred
slow.
the first two.
Was it too slow?
Yeah, you know
Okay.
me, mate. I'm more of a I am more of an arcade gamer, so that's more my taste. I don't think it's a bad game, but
Did you?
the cutscenes were more drawn out, and the
Mm.
camouflage and stealth aspect it felt a bit bogged down for me. But I like my faster paced game, so that's just my taste, really.
So does this mean you rather Snake versus Monkey than the main game?
Yeah,
It's just
the
an
like
interesting
the
side game.
That was
I
a nice
gotta
break. It was a
admit.
tongue in cheek of Ape Escape.
Like
It was
it.
a mockery of that, wasn't it? Of a
It was
PlayStation.
good. It was fun. It was fun.
Okay.
It was a fun crossover.
so what about Sir Joe? What were your experiences with MGS3?
Yeah, again, that's the first Metal Gear Solid that MGS that I
Uh,
finished, and
uh,
I do agree with Sheen in what I mean. Sorry, it's
uh,
Virage.
Girl, that's it.
That is more of I push myself more, not just sneaking. I have to do the camouflage, the food you're gonna intake. Is it really good or is it
Is it
poisonous?
human?
Yeah. And then yeah, I really like the twist at the end, especially that I didn't know really that he is big boss that time. I just know that I'm playing a snake.
uh,
It is because way back again, I just play it on rent. I haven't finished MGS1 that time, so it's like, what? Who's big boss? What? So are you Solid Snake or you're not Solid Snake? Then who's big boss? Something like that. So the part wherein I have to skip the cutscenes before because I'm renting. I'm after the gameplay, not the scenes because my time is running out that time. That left me with a lot of questions. Who really he is? Like, who is Big Boss? Then that's where I
yeah.
found out that oh no.
You need
So
to
you're
play
Big
the
Boss.
You're losing a lot of context, and then suddenly you play
uh,
the first
Yeah.
game. Oh
oh
shit!
right
But I
right
guess
that
it's okay if you're going to play MGS3 because that's
yeah
the first one. That's the
yeah
first
that's the
one.
first game.
Yeah.
That's literally the first game chronologically in the series. So
And I think it's okay that they're going to remake the Delta. I mean, starting with the MGS3.
right,
Yes.
right.
Yeah. Just
And
make
how
it
about
loyal
uh,
to the original,
royal to the end
Loyal to the end.
loyal to
Yes.
the end. Yes. Oh my God.
or loyal?
Oh man.
Loyal to one's country, loyal to the
Right.
end.
That
And
unsung hero part.
Can love
right.
bloom on the
That really
Today's
battlefield.
is
ally
heavy.
is yet is will be tomorrow's enemies.
Yeah.
What all
Right.
that matters is the times.
Oh no, the feels again.
The fear.
Then you have the boss battles, right? That
The
are very
pain.
The
so.
Cobra
The
unit.
pain.
The
That's the thing
pain.
with Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear games. So unlike Siphon Filter, unlike Splinter Cell, you have this cross with sci-fi. So you you battle um bosses that has mystical powers, which is like it's not real life.
The end.
Right. You don't see someone who's like a half vampire, bloodhound vampire. You don't see that very often in game stuff, especially in action games. Um,
Actually, I had a hard time with the Sorrow. I didn't know that I had to use
Raven.
the
yeah,
the
Oh, you
pill.
mean the guilt trip? You mean the guilt trip stage?
Yeah, I didn't know what to do
Yeah,
on that
yeah.
part.
Hey, at
where
least if
you
you
and
kill Frajanovic, you see him walking around us with river sticks as well, with him covering his wee wee. You know, since you
You know,
steal his clothes.
I
Um,
wasn't really keen on eating vultures, but after seeing that and realizing that if you eat vultures, you're basically gonna get all these soldiers hunting you in that stage. I'm just like, okay, I'll never eat vultures ever again on my next gameplay.
like
You
who
did.
was
It wasn't bad enough. You killed us. You had to eat us too.
and
Second
of
hand
course
cannibalism, everybody.
don't
Exactly.
forget the dream.
That one
The
was
hi-
weird.
the hidden minigame
Yeah,
dream.
the hidden
Ah, yeah.
Castlevania dream.
yeah the
Yeah, the hack and slash one.
It was a canceled game that they just decided, hey, why don't we put this in
Yeah,
here?
let's insert that
What
in,
the
have
fuck?
the discussion, and then like Sigint, for the first time ever, you will hear him say the word shit more than once in the whole game itself. It's
Giant
like that's the only time you will hear
turds.
him use that word over and over again because he was talking
Is it-
about his own bad dream, which is nothing but just like
yeah
basically a fecal nightmare.
it was a tank shaped shit. So it was a huge turd. It shoots shit. It ran like shit, and it stank like shit.
Guys,
Giant
calorie
turds.
mate, everyone, anyone?
Oh my
Oh,
Yeah.
calorie.
Oh my god, you have no
I
idea how
forgot.
much that thing saved me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What is
Yeah,
that? Sorry, for me who doesn't
yeah,
know what that is.
yeah.
it's
Calorie
actually
mate. It tastes.
it's like an energy bar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's what? How can I explain? Once you
I believe
have
you can also
tried
use that
eating
against
this, let's say this is
You gotta show us
chocolate.
what's inside, though.
It's already expired. It's been
Yeah, but you
gotta
show
5 years
what's inside.
already. Oh,
You didn't eat it. At least
no,
eat the
no.
box.
I ate
It
the
might smell
other
bad.
flavors. I ate the other flavors, but what I like in Calorie Mate is that this is a diet food, especially if
Mm.
you're going to eat it. How can I explain this? The
Is
saliva it
it
absorbs in the food. So
Is
it's
it-
so if
Ah,
you're going to
So it melts in your mouth.
digest it, yeah. If you're
Not
going
in
to
your hand.
digest it, it feels heavy. It feels heavy. You might wanna try it. You might
ah.
wanna try it, Viraj.
I don't think I need that. Thank
No,
you.
no, no.
You haven't sold it to me.
Yeah.
No, no,
Sorry.
no. Here's the
Let's
thing.
see.
It's basically an energy bar,
Yeah.
but slightly blander. That's it.
Mm.
Basically, the
Kinda like
prototype
that.
of current energy bars, we basically have calorie mate before.
What's wrong
all
with
the other ones that we
Coca-Cola?
are eating
That's
now.
the low. Coca-Cola. Why are you having chocolate? Why having these bars? As chocolate has got energy in it. Why can't I have that? What's calorie mate got that chocolate doesn't have?
I don't know. You
Actually,
gotta ask these energy buff
this
guys.
way when I went to Japan way back 2018. I saw it just
Ah.
randomly in the convenience store, and
In 7-Eleven, yeah.
it's a calorie mate.
Does it,
I
Yeah,
gotta
they
buy
did.
this.
They
does
did
it taste
promos.
better than Cadbury's dairy milk? That's the question.
Yeah,
Yeah? Really? Okay.
Not
you might
sure.
wanna
I mean,
try
this-
it, Garage.
I mean,
Just
this
for
is
the
the very
experience.
I'll try it.
If you
I'll
think
try
about it,
it,
guys,
but
this
but
is
no
the very
promise.
first attempt
Yeah, yeah.
of Japan putting like real product into their game. You know, like
Well, not
nowadays we got
really.
like Oh, I mean, in Final Fantasy 15, they blatantly just like promote like instant ramen like up to the ass, right? I mean,
Okay.
this
Dude,
is basically like the very beginning of that,
No, no, no. Even before. Remember
or even
Parasite
before
Eve
that.
2? Remember Parasite Eve 2 when they had fucking Pepsi?
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
that,
Yeah, there you go. The
It
calorie meat.
it it
calorie meat.
basically restored your MP for 90,
I
which
thought
is
that
one
was
of the biggest
I
fucking
thought it was just
MP
a work of
restoration.
fiction in a video game. I didn't know it was a real thing. All right, fine.
Oh wait, not Pepsi, Coca-Cola. Fuck.
You also have ramen there, right?
Yeah,
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 but
yeah,
it's
Does.
not they don't have
like a
branding.
real,
Yeah,
like a
like
real life product in there, like
all this,
Nissan or
I,
something.
all this time, I
so
just thought it was a piece of fiction in a video game. I didn't know it was a real thing. All right,
No,
fine.
no,
It
no, it's a
is.
real thing.
me as well. I didn't know there was an actual calorie meat back
They
then.
must have paid them some serious cash in the briefcase to have that in a video game.
Oh, you would be surprised that Sega does this with the Yakuza series and their
Yes.
vending
Uh,
machines.
Right.
uh,
There's so much stuff they did.
all right.
So
So
Metal Gear Solid
basically, yeah,
3.
okay.
yeah, Metal Gear Solid 3 was just a fun experience overall.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I
So much.
Yeah,
You,
they like I basically brute forced some things there, but I did enjoy some the survival aspects there, and the injury is as well. I got
mm,
speaking of injuries, right? Since Big Boss lost his eye, I gotta ask you fellows with you fellow Biclops there. How does it feel like having just one eye? Does it really look like that when you close your eyes? Because I've been a Cyclops my whole life. Because I don't know. I've only got one
mm,
functioning eye. Is it really like that if you close your eye? Your one good eye.
I it takes away some of the peripheral vision, but
yeah,
it's not
yeah.
the point that you're like blind on one eye.
No, no, no. I
Right?
mean, I just want to know if it's like that, like yeah, how they
Mm,
represented it. Because in Metal Gear, in 3, right, when
uh,
after they gouge out his eye, there's this weird border on their
uh,
on
Yeah.
it. Is it
uh,
like that
No, I
on,
don't
on
think.
for you
mm,
I
guys?
don't think
Because
that's
for me, it's not.
Yeah,
I
I've been a Cyclops my whole life.
yeah. My
uh,
one of my friends is also actually has like a problem with his other eye, and he tells me that like he does see normally. It's just that like as far as like the whole thing where you can see the other side, like the corners and whatnot, it's not the same anymore. And then like you pretty much like you feel like you have like this one eye in here, but it's not there. That's what he
uh,
tells me. The
Like a
vision that you
phantom
have in Metal
eyes.
Gear Solid is only just to emphasize the being being one-eyed, and I guess
uh,
they can't find a way to actually emphasize it to us. So the only way they could do it is like by putting this weird circle aura in there.
It
I
was
think
so jarring when
uh,
when that happened.
I think what they did in Snake Eater was when you first got like you got your eyes gouged out. When you try to look at through the first person view, it has like it interferes with your some of your peripheral vision. But as you go along the game, like near the end of the game, it doesn't affect. You don't see that anymore because that's the time when Snake finally like he got used to it.
Yeah, like
Not sure, yeah.
it took me until I was 12 to realize I only had one eye.
Uh, I
Oh,
think that's they placed that in the game, but I'm going to see once when I try to replay the game if that actually happened.
Oh man,
All right.
Volgin. Volgin.
Uh,
The fight with Volgin was absolutely hilarious for me. So my brother told me just put on the mask while fighting him. What? Why? Why should I do that? Just watch. Okay. Then he started beating Ivan. Ivan. What? Okay. Oh right. He has a lover.
Mm.
He
yeah.
has a lover. So then it's a free
Who
hit.
who looked somewhat familiar from the previous game, which
Yes.
was Raiden. They just renamed him Rajkovic
Uh, and then
Ivanovic.
Rajdenovich,
Raidenovic.
Rykov.
Some of
Right.
them, that's the answer for those Raiden haters.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, it's really something when you call him Rajdenovich.
Right.
Yeah, it's like Raiden's bitch, basically in Japanese.
No, no, no. That yes,
Yeah,
the no. That
Rajkovic.
exactly. That's why it's
the
like Raiden's
Japanese.
bitch. Yeah,
Right there, no, bitch.
yeah, Raiden no
All right.
bitch.
No,
So,
that's a good one.
mhm.
Just learned
Okay,
it right now.
so
I fought the
we're
end, fucking honesty. I didn't
yeah.
stamina kill him. It took me 5 hours to fight him. Like I no, it took me 5 hours using the directional mic and the thermal goggles. I didn't try to find him. I was playing fucking Where's Waldo with the end in the jungle.
So
Hey,
what
you
we
didn't
just
see
did, we just
the parrot, did you?
then what we did is we just tranquilized his or shot his parrot and ate it.
Yeah, I
He
did.
would be super angry if you did
Out of
that.
Yeah,
rage.
exactly.
Yeah. You would inadvertently make the fight harder.
But
All
hey,
right,
at least
so
we now know that it's not canon, though. At least we now
uh,
know it's not canon that the parrot is eaten by Big Boss. So we're good.
Yeah.
was it the same parrot that EE had back in Metal Gear Solid 2, or was it like a
Yes.
different
Uh,
parrot? Was it the
uh,
same?
just the same color, I think,
I
because it's
see.
impossible.
Is that
There's no way
like
that parrot
That
could have
parrot
50
lived
lived
year
that
lived
long.
through that day.
Yeah, like
50
50
year
year
old
how
old
long
parrot?
is
parrot.
that?
Are you a phoenix? Like what?
It's like
Right.
how the hell
Are you
did
a
you manage to
messenger?
fly from how did you manage to fly from like the jungles of Russia all the way to the States and get yourself locked into a little girl's cage? I mean, that has to be some story on its own.
Uh, Okay, so we're done with the third game. So let's go ahead with the fourth game, which those were the games for the PS2, Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. So let's go on with Metal Gear Solid 4 that was
Oh,
solely
the movie.
released
Metal
for
Gear Solid, the movie.
the
Yes, it's
movie.
basic. That's what it is. It's basically a movie.
Yeah.
It's not a game.
It's a movie, right?
And
It's a
for
movie.
the right, for the longest time, it hasn't been ported to a different platform. It was only released for the PS3. So most of the gamers did not experience or haven't played this game because maybe because they didn't have the PS3 or they were playing on the PC. Um, so Metal Gear
Five hundred
Solid
and ninety
4.
nine dollars, man. Like who
Mhm.
has
Yes,
$599 just lying
yes,
around?
That was
yes,
expensive. PS3 was an expensive machine on release, and that was an
Yes.
yes.
expensive proposition they
Yeah,
were offering.
exactly.
So
But
everyone got the 360, most
Yeah, it's the
likely.
cheaper
Yeah,
option.
same here. I also got the 360 version.
Right. So Metal Gear Solid 4 for anyone who hasn't played it.
I
Again,
watch it. I watch it.
you watched it. So if you haven't watched it, what happened there was you're playing as Solid Snake again, but this time he's called Old
Old
Snake
Snake.
because we have established in Metal Gear Solid, the first game, that he was a clone of Big Boss. And then
Yes.
because he was not like an exact clone of the Big Boss, it messed up his it messed up it messed him up in in the cellular level. So he aged like he had
No,
accelerated aging.
no, that was
Right,
actually a
right.
part of the. No, that's literally the
Or
whole idea of the lesson Fonterri is that like
uh,
they are only cloned and only have like that much years to live.
mhm,
Plus, they are not meant to recreate or reproduce, so that way the
mhm,
secrets or the skills of Big Boss could never be passed on
uh,
to enemies.
uh,
And the whole aging process was literally designed in order for them to make sure that Snake doesn't live that long. He only goes for the mission, and after that, he goes old and they die.
Kind of like the
Fox
replicants
Light.
in Blade Runner.
Yes.
Hmm.
Oh God. Oh.
I just
Yeah.
hope the leak is true. I mean, remember
The
there will
rumors,
be
yes.
a
I
volume one.
hope. I
Yeah.
really hope.
Yeah.
Just
Though
come on.
the conversation for MGS4 is more on PS3, but I really hope they're going to include it.
Because I
What
did.
rumor? What rumor?
PC release. PC release, please.
MGS4 on
For the
Volume 2
PC?
Master Collection. Yeah.
Because
Oh snap!
Hopefully.
I did play this, but only the beginning part. You know why? I was playing it in a rental shop, and they were charging me up the nose per fucking hour. So I went, come on, man! I just met this guy. It's taking me this long, and you're telling me I have to go? Come on, give me more time.
The-
Like I paid like a total of like 1 hour is not enough for one session of Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yeah.
Like it's cool and all. Like they put amazing stuff in there, like the Octo Camo. I wanted to play more of it, but since because no one owns a PS3, like any of my friends, or even like my friend owns a PS3, but he never owned MGS. He never owned a copy of MGS3. So we
Actually,
were
I
just
agree with you, Trix.
we,
Because I played this also on rent because the PS3 is so expensive. I just rent it, and
how
I remember I only played that one
how
hour,
much did they
and
charge you? How
I
much
can't
did
remember.
they
So
charge you for
60
an hour?
pesos or 100 pesos,
Wow,
something
you
like
got
that.
for
it.
an hour.
You
But
got cheap.
remember the cutscene there is just too long. That's
Hmm.
when I got to the gameplay. I'm
You
almost running out of time, but that
you got it
moment,
cheap.
that moment.
You got it cheap. You know how much they were charging me?
I
Fucking
mean that time, it's just not all can afford the PS3 that time. I mean,
I'm
in
surprised
my
that they did
family.
this with rentals. I mean, here in the UK, I think renting video games kind of ended after the PS2 era. You know, I think a lot of people just borrowed games or bought games pre-owned in
I think
yeah,
it
GameStop.
well,
ended here on PS4.
Oh, right, okay,
yeah.
so that explains it. But this game isn't accessible. It is actually just a PS3 exclusive release, from my understanding. It's a shame.
Well, plus they had alternatives as well.
But,
Like they had fighting games, they had other co-op games. I mean,
mm,
it was the start of the online era back then. How much were
Yeah.
they charging you for the PS3 rentals per hour? By the way, like 16 to 100. Because
Yeah, as far as
damn,
I can remember, that was like around that cost around
you you
60 to 100.
you got a good deal because they were charging me like fucking up to 200 an hour.
wow.
Yeah,
Well,
it's kind of rare. It's kind of rare that they're going to rent at that time. But yeah, it has so many
So the next
loading,
time I went to
cutscene.
that rental shop, I just said, "Fuck it, let me just play PlayStation Sports
I remember the store. It's Circuit City. Remember that store? I mean, it's like
as a cert."
Gameline, the Data Blitz,
Oh god,
a
that
game
My
that
store
store
here in the
my
died
Philippines.
out.
my
That
rental
was
shop,
Oh dear.
way back, Circuit City, man.
my rental shop was right next to my school, so I was
Mm.
just walking distance there.
Played it on
Yeah.
the
So
mall.
I
I just
remember
said,
when I
"Fuck
remember
it,
when
if
play,
a friend has one, I'll just play it with his house. I'm just going to play PlayStation Sports, with the fucking
Uh,
motion, with the PlayStation Move."
uh,
I had fun, yeah, but it's not Metal Gear.
Yeah,
Then I
so
find out no one owns Metal
the
Gear.
moment that I got my work, I immediately bought a PS3 a week after, and then the first
yeah,
game that I bought was MGS4 and Max Payne 3. And yeah,
uh,
that was really a
yeah.
masterpiece.
When I bought my PS3 back in 2012, that was also the first game that I bought as well. Because it's one of the most that's one of my favorite franchises. So I played it. I think it took me a good 3 months before I bought another game. So I've been
mm,
playing it for, but it was such a good game. You can do anything you want. You have your freedom from the previous games, and you also have that on this game. and with better graphics because now you have HD, right? Uh,
But
and
you're gonna feel that masterpiece, that experience, if you play the previous games. Because if you're a first
uh,
time player of
Yes.
MGS and you started with
right,
MGS4, like, what is happening? What is this? What is this?
No one's. I I
Yeah.
I know someone who started with MGS4 and I was staring him. What? You started with four?
How did you manage to get through every single part of that game without going what,
How
when, why,
did
who,
you
wait, who?
understand? Did you understand anything in that? I don't know, man. It was cool.
There's
I
a
would
lot of
understand.
fan service. There's a lot of Easter eggs that you will not
Yeah,
be.
there's like so
There's
much.
so
There's
many
so many
characters
references.
there.
Irrelevant if you do not have
Yeah,
any experience.
Vamp
I,
is there. Like, who the
I
fuck would know Vamp from?
Yeah.
I would understand if you were going to play MGS2 and MGS3 before the first
Yeah,
MGS game, but Gear Solid 4. What?
four
Yeah.
yeah.
really.
Like
Exactly.
I remember. I remember when I was playing it, and when we got to the part where you have to meet Matkapluko or Big Mama. When Big Mama showed up, I was the only one in the fucking room who was just like jumping up and down, and I was like pointing on the screen. Everybody else is like, which part of the series did she show up? And I was just like staring at them like they just told me the most sacrilegious thing ever. Like, what? You guys don't get it? Come on, Big Mama is Big Mama. Hello, Big Mama. Eva, Eva.
All right, so I think Sir Biraj, have you you
I didn't,
played?
I
You
didn't
haven't
bother. I
played.
haven't played the fourth one and beyond. So for me,
Uh,
Metal Gear Solid was that trilogy that I played, and the
mhm.
Boktai games. I remember during there was a gap between Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, and I was like, Kojima needs to stop making these stupid Game Boy games and get on with the third Metal Gear Solid game. Hurry up, quickly! But the Boktai games I really enjoyed, and I know that's like obviously we can talk about these spin-off games afterwards, but
You,
Boktai is Kojima's sort of it is
uh,
if there's Metal Gear Solid on Game Boy Advance, it's Boktai. That's what it is. And that's what I played, and I love those games. Are brilliant. They're brilliant. They go for a lot of money too. But
you,
that's what I played, and then Metal Gear Solid 3 came, and I think Dan he had to go off there, but Dan made a very interesting point, which is that Metal Gear Solid 3 was a slower game, because it's
Yes.
designed to be a slower game, and
Mm-hmm.
as the series progressed, it's like, and this is the problem. I saw my cousin because he had a PS3, and he played Metal Gear Solid 4, so I've seen him play it, and I watched him. I thought. And I was sitting there for the cutscene to end, but the cutscene went on for a long time. I'm thinking, is this a
Yeah, that is a problem with Metal Gear Solid as like the game progresses through different series. When they
yeah.
finally reach MGS4, it's like as if they keep on raising the ante because everybody loves the whole lore. But the problem
mhm.
was is that like with Metal Gear Solid 2, you already had like one problem where it's like a cutscene. You move to one hallway to another and it's another cutscene. That was
Yeah.
already a problem gameplay wise. And then like with MGS3, they put a lot of more voice acting and much more story. Yeah, we get that. It's amazing. But the moment they got into 4, it's like they were so busy shoving every single loose end in the lore that there's only like 25% gameplay and like
But,
75%
but
is basically just you sitting down waiting
And
for
this
for
game
like
wasn't.
whatever's going to happen next.
Yeah, and
mm,
you're wondering because I remember when this game came out, people were like, finally, because it's not exactly it was a release title for the
mm,
PS. It took a couple of years for them to develop, so everyone was expecting something to be really outstanding in terms of what it was. And graphically, yes, it was a beautiful, good-looking game. Yeah, the cutscenes looked amazing. When I first saw his full HD TV, when HD TV
yeah.
first I think he had a 55 inch back in
Wow.
2008. Yeah, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I sat there and I watched it. I thought this looks really good. Is this a movie or a video game? What is it? So it's just like, okay, is this the direction video games are going in? Is that what we're doing now? We're not playing video games, we're watching movies now. So
Oh,
It's
I
that,
have a
that
lot to say to that, but it's happened.
that's
you
what's
know
happened.
that's
Last decade, there's a lot of video games that are like that now, like the Batman Arkham series, like oh god, if I could go on and on. I could talk about
Uncharted.
Uncharted,
yeah.
Last of Us. Although you could say Last of Us is
Mm.
actually a very good game. The Witcher,
Uh,
and so on.
Assassin's Creed, of course.
That's
Yeah.
it goes on, and Mass Effect. You go on and on about talk about
Mass
games that
Effect.
have lots of cutscenes. And you're like, okay, it's fine to have a cutscene to have a narrative, but there should be more video game. And if you can
Yeah.
have the video game be part of
Exactly.
One thing I like about Batman Arkham, and I'm going to tangent. I'll be very quick with this. One thing I like about Batman Arkham is you're immersed into that world as Batman, and you are playing the game. You are playing that cutscene, if that makes sense. You're immersed into that. And if they did that with Metal Gear Solid rather than just cut to a movie, I would have appreciated that. And that's why I sort of like thought, you know, I can't be bothered with 4. I didn't buy the PS3 anyway, so it's not like I was missing out. And then I thought, okay, PS4, PS5 is here. Do I want to play Metal Gear Solid 5? Do I care? You know, it's one of those things. Like I just gave up. I thought the first 3 were good enough for me. Thank you. Toodaloo. That's it. That's my. It's my thoughts. It's the direction video games have gone. Metal Gear Solid went into a much more cinematic approach, and it always was
Yeah.
a cinematic game from the first game, and that was groundbreaking. That was great. I loved that first game. Everyone, to be honest, it was Twin Snakes with me. It wasn't actually the PlayStation version I played. It was the Twin Snakes that actually looked better. The PlayStation version was ugly, and the Twin Snakes did actually, to be honest, the Twin Snakes did actually have extended cutscenes in that version of the game. And it actually surprised me how this new Volume 1 collection that's coming out, and the Nintendo Switch one didn't have Twin Snakes included in it. It's just stupid they did that because it would have been a nice exclusive for that.
And yeah, and you know, Viraj would definitely gonna have a problem even if, like, let's say he would try to jump in from 4 to 5, considering that, like, before you could even play 5, you have to freaking play
You have to
fucking
understand
Peace Walker.
Peace Walker.
Yeah.
It's like, can I be bothered? Like, have I got the time? Like, it's like as you get older, it's like Dan, he's gone now, but Dan is a man of action. He likes to get into things.
Yeah.
I'm similar in that. I'm probably a bit more patient than Dan is, to be fair. And I do like a good story, but I'd have to have the energy to watch through this thing. But Metal Gear Solid 4 is just too much movie. It's just too much.
Yeah.
It's like I have to stomach that, then continue with the series.
Even if you're invested on the lore itself, the problem is that, like, you're basically sitting down on a damn movie that's explaining the whole thing that started from
That's
the very
happening.
beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Trying to show
to
you,
me-
trying to show you all of the information.
Yeah, exactly, and that's basically what is the problem with Metal Gear Solid 4. Is that, like, it's like, oh, we want the closure for this one. This is the penultimate Metal Gear Solid lore game, and I'm like, yeah, but what about the whole game itself? It's like, you know.
Yeah, it's like it's Kojima's problem with the whole subtlety thing. He is not subtle at all. He wants you to understand what's happening, every minute detail of what happened.
So, before we had this discussion about Kojima and who's going to replace him, but Kojima, this is an example where Kojima wasn't flawless. This is a failure.
Yes.
This is a failure. Maybe the next guy won't have all this stuff, and maybe there'll be more gameplay. It'll be good for gameplay. I like to be optimistic.
Actually, the problem, I think it's even gotten worse nowadays because, sure, we have cutscenes, but I'd rather take brief cutscenes, like chop him up. So from Metal Gear Solid 4, chop him up, than what we have nowadays, where you have gameplay, but there's nothing happening, like walking segments and then just while talking, like what happened with God of War.
Also,
I
like,
would rather have that than
but you know, like, what Viraj just said is that, yes, Kojima does have a flaw, and you know, any fans who would say that he doesn't have a flaw is clearly not a fan. I'm sorry to say this, but
they are a
you know,
fan
this is
of-
also
So
his
Kojima
flaw
is God
this-
or not?
well, no, Kojima is God. Oh God, do we even have to go there with the Cosima? But
But those
like,
were good.
yeah,
Those were
Game
good.
developers
Yeah,
have
Kojima-
their flaws.
Kojima-
Miyamoto has a flaw.
yeah, he has a flaw, but the problem is, like, you know, going back to the whole thing of, like, passing the mantle thing, you know, somebody in the chat room earlier mentioned that, you know, he is one of the only few creators that manages to put his name into the game. Kind of like, you know, how with Lucas is with Star Wars. You can never separate both. So,
Kojima game.
yeah. And that is also the problem with, like, you know, with Kojima itself, is that, like, when he ends up with this game, just like George Lucas, the moment he doesn't have the restriction, he doesn't have the limitations, he doesn't have any of the obstacles that he had with Star Wars, you end up with episode 1, 2, and 3 that is so, like, vast with so many information that, like, you know, you don't even know what you're watching anymore. And basically, Metal Gear Solid 4 suffer in that sense, that they put so much in there because Kojima has so much freedom that, you know, I won't even be surprised that 4 was also one of the few catalysts that causes Konami to think, like, do we really want to make, you know, Metal Gear Solid 5, considering how Kojima is when it comes to budget?
Dude, oh, yeah.
MGS4 is
And-
just a gift for us MGS fans who experience
Yeah.
the lore. That's
Yeah.
it. And not for
Yeah.
the first time players.
Yeah, it's not even like, you know, literally everything that happened in Metal Gear Solid 4 is his answer to whatever people were saying about MGS2. Everybody
Yeah.
hated Raiden. You know what
Especially
he did? He chopped
Raiden.
him.
Redemption.
Yeah,
Redemption.
yeah.
Yes.
He chopped him to
they made
pieces
him
and turned him
cooler.
into something more cooler. Basically, it's like, oh, you guys don't like Raiden? Let's turn him into Gray Fox then.
Do the capoeira thing.
Well,
They
to,
didn't,
to,
they
to,
didn't,
like,
they didn't, they didn't even chop him to pieces. They took his fucking spine. That's it.
Yeah.
His brain and spine. That's it.
The,
Didn't
the head
they?
and the
Yeah,
without the lower
that's
jaw,
it.
right?
Yeah, it's just his skull like this. Fucking-
Yeah.
She took the Doom Revenant and just turned it into a cool thing, cool ninja.
What got me is the Raiden versus Vamp part. Like,
Oh,
whoa.
oh,
Oh,
they promoted that. They promoted that
Yeah,
scene so
the
much.
rematch.
it was
Damn.
in the
Scout,
trailer.
it's a scout versus scout thing, you know. It's like I love how like they always emphasized it. Raiden and Vamp are similar scout type soldiers, so they always have to fight each other.
Are
one
you
thing
the
I've
one who
noticed
can
on,
finally kill?
so I
Yes,
don't know if
everything.
you or anything, but one thing I've noticed on this, I think we might have skipped a game here. There's Metal Gear Solid portable ops on PSP. That's one I missed out on. What's the story with that?
Me too. Me too. Me too.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops was the first it's the first
Portable.
Metal Gear Solid
PSP.
game for the PSP.
Was it
Actually it was placed
what?
the game was released before way before Metal Gear Solid 4. Which looking at the outline, yeah, we skipped
Basically,
this one,
it,
right? We skipped this one.
Yeah.
It's the somehow the direct sequel for Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater,
yeah.
but the thing
It is and it isn't.
here, yeah, the thing here is
This
it's
is Peace Walker though.
partially yeah, that was Peace Walker, but the graphics is somehow like that. The only thing, and I don't know if Kojima admitted to this or like confirmed it. It's partially,
Partially
it's
canon.
Yeah,
partially
Not
it's
canon,
it's
really,
right?
like
not really
you,
Right,
canon.
you
right.
have
Totally canon.
you have Metal Gear Solid fans basically punching each other whether this game is
Yeah,
canon or not because
Even
we
yeah,
have
because
like
even
one
I am
side.
confused.
Yeah, because here's the thing: you cannot even say that it's not canon if in Peace Walker, freaking Miller acknowledged the
They
event of
meant
San Hieronimo,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
basically, they're saying that it did happen, and then you also have like the issue about like Ocelot grabbing the rest of the philosopher's legacy, and
Or
that was
Gray
mentioned,
Fox.
or yeah, and then it also happened you know, in this game. But the thing that they're all saying why it isn't canon is because of the fact that Gray Fox wasn't even met during this time supposedly. That
mhm.
Kojima mentioned that like Gray Fox was met much later, not during the San Hieronimo incident. And then you have all these other characters like Cobra and all these other members
Yeah,
of that
Foxhound,
yeah, the Foxhound that doesn't
Python,
really do count. And
yeah,
when they actually write down like the whole database for this one, everybody's saying that like whatever happened in San Geronimo didn't even really happen. So
But
it's
they
such a
but
confusing thing.
yeah,
So are we gonna
even
agree that it is still partially canon?
yeah. It's like
Partially
it's like
canon.
Only
50
Partially
it's
canon.
only something happened in San Geronimo, but it's not portable ops. Let's put it
Uh,
that way.
I mean, I just want to put something out there that there were two games that we've also skipped. I think we're just forgetting they ever existed, and that's Metal Gear Acid and Metal Gear Acid 2.
oh
Oh,
no,
that thing will never. That doesn't exist. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's basically it's like
Is that just because it's a totally different kind of Metal Gear Solid game? We're not going to
it's
include
like a
it.
yeah,
card.
it's
There's
Yeah.
a
a card
different
game.
timeline.
like
Yeah.
It's a different
just
timeline.
like Metal Gear Survive.
I mean, it's still
It's
part
a
of the series.
deviant.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it's basically just a different retelling because we're using Solid Snake as well,
Yeah.
and
exactly.
also we're finding new operatives like Telecos. God, why
Yeah.
do I remember that name? Why
So
do I remember Telecos?
I remember it
Invaders.
used the card-based system. It played very differently, and I remember when it came out. I used to work in the game shop then, and I thought, "Wow, cool! A Metal Gear Solid game on the go. These graphics look really good." And I looked at the back, and I thought, "Oh, this is good." I looked closer. I thought, and back then I had bought a PSP. I thought, "Let's try it." And back then I put the games on display. I take the UMD out and just put it in my PSP and played it, right? Because
Yeah.
nobody watched it. It didn't happen, right? So I played it. I thought, "Nah, this is an abomination. I'm not playing this."
Thank you. Thank you,
True.
Garage. Thank
True.
you.
The same thing as the
You know,
rest of it. if you like this kind of game, it's great, but it was a waste opportunity. And I'm surprised they even made a sequel to this. It must have sold really
Yeah,
well.
Acid too.
I kind of
In
feel like
Japan, maybe.
I think people were hoodwinked into buying this because I remember a friend of mine called Robert Greenwood. He's not watching.
He has an
He
actual
came
copy.
in and I said, "Don't buy this game." I had to tell him not to buy it because people just thought it was a Metal Gear Solid game and they were just buying it. So, well, like it played like Metal Gear Solid. So maybe it increased the sales of it were just half of it was all hoodwinked customers thinking it was a good game. So, oh, this game sold really well. Let's make Metal Gear Acid 2. And then they probably realized with the sequel, it didn't do so well because people then realized. I think that's what I kind of thought it was.
Yeah,
On the sort of
exactly.
chat, I thought Eric Warburton's joined us. He's in the chat there.
Oh
He's
yeah.
saying,
Oh hey Eric Goldberg. Yeah, he was like mentioning you. And hey all, honorary Pinoy here. Married to Pinay with 3 daughters. Oh, awesome, my man. Also worked at Sega way back. Oh, we
Oh,
salute you there, sir.
we interviewed him on the Sega Mega
My
Masters.
sympathies.
So, yeah. He was
Exactly.
a 1990s Sega games tester, and he tested various games across the Mega
Oh,
Drive.
he was a tester. Okay.
He was
Fuck.
a tester. He's now a producer. But
Nice.
we interviewed him on our Sega Mega Masters channel. So shameless
Yes.
plug here. Really
Exactly.
good an interview that what I did with the
man.
channel. And it's pretty cool.
I
But
should
yeah, thanks
watch
for joining us, Eric. But going on back.
Thank
to
you for
the
visiting.
Thank you so much, Eric.
So going forward, okay.
Why
so
does
we
he
had
look like
Metal
so
Gear-
bad guy here?
we got Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops, and that was probably the definitive handheld Metal Gear Solid game. I think it's the only one that's ever really come out. If you can't really count the Boktai game because it's something different, even though it's got the same genetic code as Metal Gear. I think there was also Metal Gear Solid Babel on the Game Boy Color as well that was missing.
That one
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
I love Babel. Ghost Babel.
Metal Gear Solid. What's the title
Ghost
of
Babel.
this?
Ghost Babel
Yeah.
on Game Boy Color. Yeah, finish
Yes.
that. Played that.
It was supposed to be a tweener between the first Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2, supposedly, but it's non-canon.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like an alternate timeline where they just want to place a Metal Gear Solid game on on the Game Boy Color. That's it.
It was
But-
heavily censored actually.
Yeah. And
remember
looking at the game, it looks like
It
the
looks
first.
amazing.
It
Yeah, those looks MSX too, but
yeah.
cleaner.
More
Yeah.
fluid.
And you also have the ability to like go flat on the wall, right?
Yeah,
Like
you can
the
even
wall crawl. Yeah.
Crawl, yeah, flat on the wall, yes.
It's a really interesting and fun game because I read an article about how when they were developing this game and what they did with the Boktai. I know I'm going over Boktai, but they used the similar engine or similar mechanics in this in the Boktai game. I thought, well, there was a Metal Gear. That's when I found out there's a Metal Gear Solid game on the Color, and they actually incorporated a lot of the elements from that onto the Boktai series. It's really interesting. But,
My biggest problem on that game is the mind games. Of course, there are some the boxes. Of course, you have to switch boxes.
Oh,
And
I know what you're talking about because
Yeah.
that was around the mid game. Yeah, I think it was the mid.
yeah, the mid game, because that's where you going
You
to
got
face
so
the boss Marionette Owl, which is my
Marionette
favorite
Owl?
boss there. Marionette
Yeah.
Owl, yeah.
Then there was the fucking boomerang guy before him. The bosses here there were great.
I think that's Slasher Hawk.
yeah, Slasher Hawk.
Man, I have to
bosses there
play.
were great.
I really have to try this game because
You know-
I'm a Metal Gear fan, but whenever it's a spin-off or it doesn't really count as canon, nah,
You know what? You know
I'm
what?
with you. I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on
I
that
have
one.
fun. I have fun on that game. Really,
Yeah.
you should try it.
That's all
I
right.
played it on the Game Boy Color console, and then I got another cartridge, and then I played on my Game Boy Advance. It's still the same.
Okay, here's my experience with Metal Gear people. I know we're getting off track, but let me just. I didn't have the actual cartridge for Ghost Fable. I had a Game Boy Color, but I had it on one of those 101 games, and that was the number one game on the. So the problem I had with that game was, since it was in a 101 cartridge, there was no save feature. So you can imagine how long a Metal Gear game that's dialogue heavy, and you're on two AAA batteries. so what I did was spend an entire day just playing the game. I was plugged into a wall. I don't care. Like I just want to finish this game. It was dark already. Oh God, I'm gonna be in trouble. I'm going to be so in trouble if I don't finish this.
Well, you could always get a little lamp you can attach to the Game Boy.
Yeah, the
Advance.
last.
Yeah.
I'll sell it to
Yeah,
you.
because
Yeah.
back then you don't have the backlight, right?
There was no backlight whatsoever. So come
Unless you had the
on.
Game
The
Boy
struggle
Light.
that we used to
You
have,
can
guys.
attach it
The struggle.
But,
So
the
yeah,
feels, the feels.
but
So
I
going
mean,
back
it's
to so we're about to we just finished talking about Metal Gear Solid 4. I know I've gone back and talked about the older titles like the
Yeah,
Game Boy Color one, but I mean Eric Wahlberg's actually made a really interesting comment, actually quite a provocative one, saying the franchise will stretch too thin. I mean, what do you guys think on that statement alone?
I
Yep.
can't disagree.
Yeah,
can't
I don't think
disagree.
any of us disagree with on that statement right
Yeah.
there. It is stretched too thin.
Oh,
Okay, I will like just to give it a fair shot. I will try and replay Acid again. But since
Mm.
my PSP is no longer functioning properly, I'd have to get
Decommissioned.
yeah, it's too old now. It's too old. It's having too much problems. I even had it repaired.
Put it on this, There's another way to play it, mate. Sail the seven seas.
True. Yeah, but
You do it.
yeah. I even had it repaired. So yeah, I had to resort to that. So
But
so yeah, I will give Metal Gear Acid a fair
You know
shot,
what?
even though it's weird and it's a turn-based thing
You know
in a
what's-
card game.
it's
I'll
probably a
give it a
good game. It's just not Metal Gear Solid. That's what it is. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
There was this RPG Sonic game on the Nintendo DS called Sonic Dark Chronicles or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Sonic
remember that.
Chronicles.
Yeah.
You remember that? Right? That's not a Sonic game, but it's an RPG that was made. No, this is not a Sonic game. This is an RPG, but it was actually quite good. So this is a
Weird.
card-based turn-based strategy game with Metal Gear Solid. It's a tactical game to much extent, but it's not Metal Gear Solid. But it might actually be a good game. It's got that Metal Gear Solid theme, and maybe if you're into it, give it a go.
Yeah,
I
plus
mean, you're
I
running
plus-
Solid games to play now, right? So you're going to have to play the ones that you might not want to play to get your fix. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Kojima's gonna
basically
be
back then I was looking for, I want the fun shit, like what is like I want, like I play, that's why I played Monster Hunter, like, and other tons of PSP titles. I want the fun shit, the one that gets me, even the RPGs. But for some reason, Metal Gear Acid turned me off. So I will give it.
You and everyone in this chat, it turns off. You and
I
everyone.
will give it an honest try one of these days. So yeah.
Same. I haven't played the two games to be honest, but
Yeah,
I
me
was
too.
trying to, but I like to give it a shot. I like to give it a shot.
Listen.
And-
I put it down all those years ago, back in 2K4 when it came out. And I have no intention of ever picking up that game again because there's far more other great games out there for me to play.
Or
Anyway.
for me, maybe just try to experience it.
Yes,
Personally,
at least you
yeah.
can
Right.
Experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't
All right.
tried Ghost Babel
Yeah.
as well.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah, you
we're
should
just
try
too
it.
poor that time.
Like,
As a Metal Gear fan, we should try every Metal Gear game.
Yeah,
because,
No, as long as it's not touched by Kojima, I will never touch it.
you're running out of.
So you won't touch, let's say,
Ghost
portable
Babel.
ops.
Well, no, I already played
Portable.
Portable Ops.
Um,
how about Ghost
Portable-
Babel? Ghost
I already,
Babel.
I've only played a bit of Ghost Babel. I've played a little bit of Acid. Honestly, like I said, like after my experiences with those other games, I'd rather not. I
Same.
have played, I have played the other ones. Don't get me wrong, but the thing is that like after what happened with those other games, I don't want to touch it. But like as far as like Delta, I'm still reserving my feelings for it.
Yeah.
I'll see
Same,
what it
same,
goes with
same.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. but-
there's also VR missions in Ghost Babel, and I completed all of them.
Fear
Nice.
Missions was
And
fun.
It's fun.
be
It's
fair
fun. You better
because-
try it. I recommend it.
Especially
And
Yeah.
and the funny thing is, they censor the cigarettes. They call it fogger, and
Yeah.
instead of
Really?
saying curse words, they say Christ.
Yes, yes. I was wondering what the hell is a fogger, and then I saw the icon. It's a cigar. It's cigarette. What the fuck? They call must be a
Maybe
UK
because of
thing.
the target market that time. It was
No,
intended
Yeah,
for
Nintendo
maybe.
kids.
censorship. Nintendo
Nintendo
censorship.
Yeah,
said.
yeah, Nintendo
Yeah, this is
censorship.
why I never
I
touched a
see.
I
Nintendo
initially
product.
thought it was a UK thing, but nah, they don't call them fuckers. What the fuck?
What the fuck?
All right. So,
What'd you call knives? Stabbies? Is that what they're called there?
It's kind of cute to kill someone.
all right. So, guys,
License for that stuff.
unfortunately, we're really running out of time, and Sir Joyce, our producers are cutting off our time already. So, we're
We
going
haven't
to
even
wrap
got to the
up.
part of 5
You're
yet.
right.
Oh no.
Yes.
We didn't even include
We
those
didn't even include
games.
survive.
Are we supposed to be happy we're not even talking about Survive?
Oh
I
no,
am
no,
happy
no,
we not
no, no, no,
survived.
no,
We
no, no.
survived.
Here's what we're gonna do. Just to wrap up the show. Closing remarks. Each panel will give their impressions about Survive and Revengeance, and then shameless plug. And
Okay, okay.
I'm gonna
I'm
do
gonna make
Shin last
Shin
because he has a
cry.
lot of things to say. So I'll start
Make a little
with
shout
Sir
out to all
Joe.
the PRG guys there.
So Sir Joe, what would be your as your closing remarks? What so first impressions of Revengeance and Survive? Go.
Revengeance for me is a cool game. I just treat it as just a cool game. Raiden from his redemption era. So and then that's it. I'm not treating it as somewhat the Metal Gear Solid experience. And then Survive, just a trash Metal Gear Solid 5. That's it. And
All
then
right.
well, they just reuse the assets, right? And then
Yeah.
that's it. And then with zombies, of course, with zombies. And
Wanna
All
play
right.
a
then
Thank you for
zombie
that.
game?
yeah, wanna
Thank
play
you for
zombie?
that, Sir
Yeah.
Joe.
And
So
I
work.
got
And
Cuban
then
energy. The Cuban
and then
energy.
MGS3 Delta. To be honest, I'm still what Shin have said, but I'm looking forward given the dialogues are still there, but let's see what would be the gameplay. But then
Mm.
again, I'm still in the part wherein let's see
All right.
what would
And
be
where can they
the
find you?
showcased. Yeah, so again, thank you so much, PRG. Actually, I'm following your page ever since.
Thank you so much.
I- I'm just a viewer. And then again, thank you so much for having me here. And again, I'm one of the co-founders of Metal Gear Solid Philippines, and we will be having a toy display, just like this one from Big Boss, on ToyCon at SMX, July 7 to 9. So I hope you can visit us there and we can talk and also join our Facebook group, Metal Gear Solid Philippines. And also my page if you like horror games and the variety contents. Actually, I'm tempted to play Metal Gear again because of this podcast.
All
visit
right.
No.
visit
I have
my
my
page at
PS1 right there right now.
yeah, visit my page at Blue Chip Joe, BLOOCHIPJOE. So once
All
again,
right.
thank you so much, PRG. More power, and I hope to see you again.
Okay. Thank you for that, Sir Joe. And how
Thank you,
about
everyone.
Risk Plays Rosello? What first impressions about Delta, Revengeance, and Survive?
Survive. Better watch Angry Joe's review. It's funny. That's all. That's all I can say. If you want to hate the game, at least wanna be funny. Yeah, watch Angry Joe's review of Metal Gear Survive. Revengeance. I played it 5 times. I'm still liking it. Already finished it on hard difficulty. And what's the other one?
Delta.
The remake.
Delta. I'm not hyped. I'd rather wait for the PC port of our Metal Gear Solid 4.
All
The
right.
collection,
How
right?
about where can they find ya?
Yes, Risk Place, Facebook. I already have Twitch and Kick. I already tested Kick so far, and but
Kick is
you'll
fun,
you'll,
yeah.
you'll see me more on Facebook and with Pinay Retro Gaming and hey, wanna Say hi. Come on. We have
Come on,
PRG
PRG.
crew.
PRG crew, labas.
The PRG crew.
Ah!
Ay!
Naliligo yung tao
Si
eh.
Tres.
Ay,
Hi,
Cause
Sir Johnson.
Looks like
All
one of the
right.
people from
Cause
Hi, Sir
Jano.
Jano. All right.
Hello,
Right.
everyone.
All right. So thank you for that, Rosello. And how about representing G3, Sir Trix?
Woo!
What can you
First.
say about Delta, Revengeance, and Survive?
Delta, I'm actually curious about. I mean, sure, this will be the first Metal Gear game, mainline Metal Gear game that's a remake that doesn't involve Kojima. So we're all in the dark on what's going to happen on that. I hope it succeeds on whatever. Revengeance is fucking cool as shit. It's like if you got Kojima to direct a cheesy action movie with 90s ism. Like remember George, who thought the coolest thing was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he got bisected by Raiden himself. That was weird, but that's Revengeance for you and Platinum Games. Survive.
I forgot to add the soundtrack. They're all cool. I added on
Sur-
my playlist.
okay. Survive as a Metal Gear Solid game is super fucking bad. But as a game on its own, it's fine. It's mediocre as shit. It's so unapologetically mediocre that if it stood on its own, no one will ever notice it. I tried it myself. I didn't mind the game as yeah. Like Sir Viraj said, if it wasn't a Metal Gear game, it would have been fine on its own. You can,
All right.
I
Nice.
I
Fighting
like
words coming from Sir Trix.
yeah. I could because I played it. I mean, I didn't. I played it through dubious means, but I played it nonetheless. It's fine. It's a fine game. It's just not Metal Gear. I think people would be fucking weirded out if this was would not be mad and just be weirded out if this was just a separate mode for Metal Gear Phantom Pain. It would be super weird. Like remember, like even Metal Gear Solid 1 had the VR missions. It's not the main thing, but it's there. You don't have to do it, but if you want to, it's there. So you so if you want to see more of my weird shit, you can check out G3 on Facebook. We're always available at every Friday at 8 p.m. and sometimes you go to live meetings like ToyCon. Like ToyCon, what was it? 2 weeks from now? Yeah, we'll be going to ToyCon next 2 weeks from now,
See
and
you,
we'll be
Tricks.
meeting. Yeah, we'll be meeting the PRG guys over there as well. So that's me.
All right. And speaking of G3, Captain Mike is down there watching us. So,
Kuya
hi, Sir
Mike,
Mike.
we
Captain
love
Mike.
you.
Hello.
PRG loves you.
All right. Thank you for that, Sir Trix. And how about Sir Viraj?
Yeah. What can I say about the last Metal Gear Solid games? Well, I haven't played them. That's what I can say. But I have played, and this is one that hasn't been mentioned. So this is actually a good point I'm making. I have Smash Bros. Ultimate, and Solid Snake is a playable character in that. We haven't mentioned.
Yeah.
He's had some Smash Brothers Brawl out. He came out in Smash Brothers Brawl on the Wii, and he was a very powerful character to play on that. And he's also in Smash Bros. Ultimate, where they had to sort of tone down his power a bit. But he's still a very, very good playable character. And Hideo Kojima was responsible for the Shadow Moses design of the background of the stage on
They
the
even added codec there, which is awesome.
so there you go. So the last time I played anything Metal Gear related was that's canon in terms of the newest thing is actually Smash Brothers Ultimate on Nintendo Switch that came out in 2018. Really say about that. In terms of Solid Snake's most recent outing, that's actually worse. Everyone's saying, "Oh, the new Metal Gear stuff is crap." Give that Smash Brothers Ultimate a go if you want to have your fix of Solid Snake and get in a proper brawl and a fight. That's what I say. If you want to give a good Metal Gear game, well, he's got a cameo in a bigger game with Nintendo characters, but you can still play him. And if you want to beat up Mario or Sonic the Hedgehog as Solid Snake, that's the game to do it. But in regards to me now, yeah, you can find me on YouTube on the Sega Mega Masters channel where we interviewed Eric Wahlberg, who was just in the chat moments ago. And I'm also floating around the Sega Genesis group in Dan Shadow. But yeah, it's been a great podcast, guys. Well done.
All
Over to
right,
you.
thank you for that, Sir Viraj. And of course, uh, before we go with Shin, okay, sure, let's go with Shin. Anyway,
Yeah, go
um,
ahead. Is there somebody else
let's go
before I
on
do? Go
ahead.
ahead.
Okay, brother, here's your time
He's
to
still
rant.
crying over my.
Revengeance, really good game. Just like Kuya Joe just said, it's a whole different game. I treat it differently. It's pretty much like same universe, but treat it like like a cousin instead of a brother. Survive is basically nothing but Kojima's notes that were left in Konami, but they decided to do something out of it. I mean, take a look at it. Just look at Death Stranding. Look at Survive. Most of the what's happening on Survive is pretty much like basically what excels in Death Stranding. So if you think about it, Survive is nothing but what Kojima is planning for other projects, but was already declined by Konami. But before he could left, whoever's left of the staff of Kojima in Konami decided to continue on and created Survive, which is a piece of trash. Now, the only canon that they could have for that is that like all the soldiers that you rescued on Metal Gear Solid 5 tends to be those weird people that are roaming around in Hella Strong because they are the main character in Metal Gear Survive. Now, does that make it any cool game? Not at all. It's annoying as fuck, repetitive, and swear to God, I don't really see the reason why I should poke a fucking zombie with a fucking staff every single fucking time just so that I could gather minerals so that I could get fucking home. Now, as far as like Metal Gear Solid Delta is concerned, I'm still reserved in regards to that, and I'm waiting and still on bated breath and hope that the quality would be as good as the pachinko and that the gameplay might be similar to Metal Gear Solid 5 and a whole lot more.
Hey, where can I
Ooh.
find
Okay.
you, brother?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Quentin Bijuhan and also on the Discord servers of PRG. I usually hang around there most of the time. If you guys don't see me there, I'm probably in my Facebook where I usually post most of my porn artwork. And if you are interested in seeing more about like rantings and whatnot, be sure to watch Quentin Bijuhan where we tackle all the retro stuff, not just in video games, but also a lot of things that most Filipinos who were born in the 80s and was raised in the 90s tend to watch. And before I go, make a love shout out to all the PRG members who are in Rosella's house, and also for the G3 crew, all the Kuyas over there. We miss you. We love you guys, and thank you again, Kuya Trix, for joining us in this wonderful episode. Thank you.
All right. So according to Shin, Metal Gear Survive is basically what a drunken Hideo Kojima wrote in a piece of toilet paper that Konami just found in the trash. All right.
Bingo.
How about the captain of the ship, the Campbell of this episode? Sir JDM, wrap it up.
All right, so guys, am I also going to
Oh, yeah.
include my?
Sure, go on
All right.
ahead.
Okay, so Metal Gear Rising, I played it. If you like action, hack and slash games like Devil May Cry, God of War, action slashing, hack and slash games, play it. You'll enjoy it. I enjoy it a little, but I'm not into hack and slash games. I prefer stealth games like Metal Gear. Raiden is cool. The graphics are cool. The gameplay is cool, but it's really not for me. But I don't say that it's a bad game. It's a good game. And Survive, complete opposite. Although I played it once, I don't want to invest so much time with it. So, as what Trick said, it would be a better game if it doesn't have the Metal Gear title
The
with
name
it.
on it.
Just Survive, right? It could be an excellent addition, like a side game with Phantom Pain. Just like in Call of Duty games, you have a zombies in
Zombies.
Cry, right?
It's
It
like
would
in
be
Red Dead Redemption, just a
right,
DLC.
right. It would be better that way.
What if?
Yes. And
How
then
much is
for
it right
the
now? Check.
don't bother. um, the remake, I'm really looking forward to it. Uh, I'm not like Rosella. I'm not joining the hype train. I am more interested with the Master Collection because it says there volume 1, so there's going to be a lot more games that's going to be included in the next volume. So it might be um, Metal Gear Solid 4 or Portable Ops or all the other stuff that wasn't included in the first
Peace
volume.
Walk.
So right, Peace Walker. So it's really a great time to play the series. If you haven't played any Metal Gear game, you definitely would like to get that master collection to your Steam, especially Steam, because PC is much more accessible to everyone, right? So it's really like a good time to be a Metal Gear fan right now. And with that said, this is 123 Go Retro on Twitch. Your Pinoy Otacon.
Otacon.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you for that, Sir
Otacon.
JDM. And as for me, guys, I'm not really a Metal Gear fan, but thanks to these guys, uh, hopefully you enjoyed this episode. I, for one,
I do.
I am more on. I am a moron. Yeah, I'm a moron in regarding with Metal Gear. That's why I had these guys to talk about it. For everyone who's not a Metal Gear fan or at least somewhat a casual of it, at least these guys were able to fill you up with so much information and lots of spoilers. Sorry for you guys who are uh, who
You spoil
haven't
anything
played
was
the
that
game
they all spoiled
in
it
over
all.
20
They
years
all
now.
spoiled it. They all
These
spoiled
guys.
it. It's all their fault.
Well, I
All
couldn't,
right. So,
Spoilers.
I couldn't spoil Metal Gear Solid 4 since I
well,
didn't properly
they
play
could
it.
have.
All I
They could have.
think is there's a
They
naked
could have
man.
said more
He
actually.
plays a naked man the second game. I was warning people. That's what I mean.
Alrighty. So that's
I
it.
highly suggest if you guys just really want to go and play Metal Gear Solid 4, I'd rather just suggest just watch a long play and save yourself the trouble because
Or watch
I
it
mean
on
unless you're
YouTube.
yeah, just watch it on YouTube. Unless you're a real fan, go for it. But if you're not a fan and you're just curious, I say just watch a let's play on YouTube and pretty much the guys who are playing it would even tell you what they feel and think about the game.
Let's play the David Haters greetings to PRG House. That's
Yeah. Oh, the Pinoy retro game.
All right. So that's the show, guys. Yeah. And as always, our games and our bodies may grow out of date, but our gaming experiences will forever remain. Hey,
Timeless.
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 Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you all
Bye.
so much, gentlemen.
Ten,
Thank you so
ten,
much.
ten, ten, ten.
Ten, ten, ten.